Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the last week of Autumn Internationals. Now, this one actually falls outside of the international window, which does mean we've got a few players missing due to that. Also, the Wallabies, they have got a whole starting 15 out with injury here, which does mean there's a huge opportunity for some of these young players to get their chance up against a Welsh side who are more then ready to try and come back from their last week's fixture. Unfortunately, suffering that loss to Georgia, they won't want that to happen again, and they certainly have the talent and the crowd behind them for this game at Principality Stadium to be able to get themselves the big win. But we will look first of all through at the Welsh starting lineup. They will be as follows: Gareth Thomas, Ken Owens, and Dylan Lewis. They are going to be the front row for the Welsh. A very strong front row as well. Australia will have to keep their eye on those three at scrum time. Adam Beard and Alan Wynne-Jones, a lot of experience there on the number 5 jersey, hoping to get his side back on the winning terms. Jack Morgan at number 6, Justin Tipuric at number 7, and then Talupe Faletau, the always dangerous Talupe Faletau there at number 8. Now, a battle I would have loved to see was Talupe Faletau up against Rob Valetini. Sadly, due to injury, means that we don't actually get to see that one take place. Then you've got Thomas Williams at number 9, Gareth Anscombe at number 10, Rio Dyer out on the left wing, Joe Hawkins and George North will be the midfield combination, and then Alex Cuthbert out on the other wing, Lee Halfpenny, the very experienced veteran, slotting in at number 15. Then looking through at this Australian starting lineup. Now, I will read through the injuries that the Wallabies have got for themselves in a very short moment, but first of all, this is a side that they have been able to put together. At times this week, it seemed like maybe a starting 15 and a reserves bench may have been out of reach for this Wallabies outfit, but they've been able to find enough players, and they have got still a very decent side out there on the park. James Slipper at number 1, Falau Whainga at 2, and then Alan Alaratoa will be slotting in as the number 3. Nick Frost and Cadron Neville as the locking duo. Jed Holloway, Fraser McWright, and Lange Gleeson as the loose forwards. Then Jake Gordon gets the opportunity to start at number 9. There is no Nick White this week for the Australians. They are just showing the world rankings on the screen, and at the moment, Ireland and France, they are sitting there at number 1 and 2. We get to see England versus South Africa a little bit later on tonight. That may determine who finishes in 3rd and 4th, possibly heading into the end of the year. Looking through at the rest of the back line, a big opportunity here for Ben Donaldson, the number 10 for the Waratahs. He will be starting at number 10 for this game, I guess you could say. Now, the good thing is he's got Lange Gleeson at 8. He's a Waratahs man. Jed Holloway, also a Waratahs man. You got Jake Gordon at 9. Mark Nawakwanitawasi on the outside. He is on the left wing. So a lot of Waratahs players actually in this lineup, which will benefit Donaldson finding that chemistry early perhaps and will help him out big time. Then looking through at the rest of the backs, Reece Hodge at number 12, Leonard Cattell at number 13, Geordie Pataya out on the right wing, and then Tom Wright will be slotting in as number 15. Looking through at the reserves bench for both of these sides, I think if I had to pick out one player for Wales to watch out for, it's definitely Josh Adams when he gets a chance later on in the game. And then alongside him, Thomas Francis, Ryan Elias, and also Jones. That is a pretty good front row replacement to have for Wales in this game. For the Australians, Tate McDermott, he's always good when he comes off the bench. Also Pete Samu as another player with Jock Campbell maybe to add a little bit of a late pace into this contest as well. We have got good evening, Hamish. Thanks once again for bringing us the end of the year into international games. Enjoy, says Josh Pike. Yeah, it's pretty awesome that we've still got these 2 matches because, like I mentioned, the international test window has kind of closed, but luckily we still get to see 2 more games of rugby. As you can tell, I'm quite excited for this game as both of these sides coming off a loss, they want to try and redeem themselves heading into the end of the year. You want to go into Christmas knowing your last game was a good one, and it's going to be tricky to do because Principality Stadium, they mentioned they're having problems with the roof. It's quite a muddy surface, unfortunately. Someone forgot to close it, kind of like when you forget to close the garage door and it's raining sideways, then everything's wet. It's very unfortunate for the players. And I think it's going to be unfortunate for the groundsman as well because he's going to have to clean up a lot of mess from this game. And Morena Kiwi Lads, let's go Wales, says Nate. And congratulations, Australia, to register their first win at Qatar World Cup 2022. Beat Tunisia 1-0. Yeah, big win for the Aussies there. So the men's side in the rugby also going to be trying to do the exact same thing, get themselves underway. A nice big win here. It is, to be honest, they've been lacking them a little bit throughout these end-of-year internationals. Overall, we will be looking through at those results that they have had for the Australians. And I mentioned they've been lacking them. They've had a lot of close games. As you can see, their biggest losing margin is 3 points. Their biggest winning margin is 1. They were able to beat Scotland in that first game that did take place, actually outside of the international test window as well. 30th of October, that game was taking place here in New Zealand. They're talking about Rugby World Cup Pool C. That is actually, for me, the most contested pool of all the groups. About 280 days away. Australia, Fiji, Georgia, who recently beat Wales, Portugal getting added in there, and then Wales, the last side in the Rugby World Cup Pool C. So, yeah, it's going to be one of the closest groups, you would think. Close game between Ireland and Australia last week. We did actually do that one on the channel. I asked Dad whether or not he would like to do this game between Wales and Australia. I can't quite say his exact words, but pretty much what he said was it would be more entertaining to watch a dog defecate than it would to be to watch that first 60 minutes of Ireland versus Australia again. So it wasn't the best game overall. It was a very slow build-up, a lot of handling errors, a lot of penalties between the two sides. It was a hard one to keep the eyes open for, but this game, hopefully, is going to be anything but boring when we do get to see these two sides in action. Looking through at what Wales were able to do last week, they did find themselves losing 13 points to 12, the win for the Georgians. Then they were able to beat Argentina. That's probably a big win overall for the Welsh campaign, just because they had that tough loss up against the All Blacks. To come back, beat Los Pumas was a very nice one indeed. Mish from, it was Joseph and hello, Benetton won for 70 minutes, says Richard. So a very impressive performance from Benetton there. I think that's just showing how far Italian rugby's coming, because Benetton are no easy beats anymore, and they used to be one of those sides. Same can be said about Zebre. Like, those two sides were the ones that everyone was like, we want to play them, but now it's like, I don't know if we want to play them anymore because they might beat us. And greetings and salutations from the island. Should be a great game. It's always such a pleasure to watch Wales at home, says Kevin. Yeah, the crowd always get well and truly behind them, even though they haven't had the best November internationals. The crowd are always turning up for their games. Walking back from university, looking forward to the live stream for the England versus Springboks game on my channel. Cheeky plug there, Rugby Itch. I do not mind it one bit, but yeah, it's going to be an awesome game. See how it does end up going between those two sides. It is a massive one, the World Cup final rematch. We saw it last year. England were able to win it. We saw it the year before that for the World Cup. South Africa were able to win it. And that game is only 2.5 hours away. But these two sides just about making their way out onto the field here at the Principality Stadium. Now, I mentioned about that injury list that we did see for the Australians. I will just read through it very quickly because this is an impressive list. So Angus Bell, he is out with a foot injury. You've also got Fa'amasuli. He is out with a hamstring. Michael Hooper, he's out with a concussion. Harry Johnson-Holmes, Achilles. Rob Leota, Achilles. Matt Phillip, knee. Dave Parecki, concussion. Isaac Rodder, foot. Scott Seo, shoulder. Taniela Tupou, suspected Achilles. And Valentini, ankle. Now, that's the forwards. Still in the back line. Banks, ankle. Quade Cooper, Achilles. Fekete, shin. Foley, he's out for Japan. That's pretty much the only one who's not out for injury. Callaway, he's got a sore toe. Karevi, a knee. Paisami, a knee. Perezi, a knee. And Nick White, concussion. So those are all the players the Wallabies are missing. Like I mentioned, they can make an injured Wallabies 15 of the amount of players that they are missing here. But Wales, they've also got a few missing players of their own. Likes of a Dan Bigger comes to mind. Liam Williams as well, going to be missing from this game. Josh Navidi, another player who would have been great to see in this contest. And who do you think will win this game, says Rugby Itch? I want to say that with that amount of injuries, Wales should have themselves a decent opportunity. But I guess it's more of the question of, do the Wallabies have more drive in them because they lost to Ireland last week? Or do Wales have more drive in them because they lost to Georgia last week? And that's our Wallabies squad on the injuries list, says Nate. Yeah, it's a huge number. I didn't actually count them up, but you've got 9 backs out with injuries, and then if that didn't seem like enough, you've actually got 11 forwards out. You've got 20 players out for the Wallabies, and 19 of those are due to injury. Nick White, or not Nick White, it must be Bernard Foley. He'll feel special out of that list because he is the only player who is just like out because of club commitments, I guess you could say. And Wales will lose because they are officially the worst Tier 1 nation in the world, says Richard there. And Wales 51 win. Wales win so far, yes, and Wales should win a home ground advantage in support of the Welsh fans. Could be the difference between the two sides, exactly right. And they have mentioned that the roof wasn't closing properly, and because of that, Principality Stadium is a lot muddier than they would have anticipated for this contest, and that benefits Wales, I would say, because they are used to being, or they're kind of used in the URC, playing in really rough conditions. We haven't seen too much of that rough weather throughout Super Rugby this year. thankfully, but then also in a way that doesn't work in favour of the Wallabies here because they will be hoping that the wet conditions don't phase them, but they might a little bit. And we are about to have the Australian national anthem, ladies and gentlemen, and then we will have the Welsh, and then we are into this contest, the first of 2 November international fixtures that are taking place tonight that we are covering on the Kiwi Lads channel. Now, that man has already got a massive sweat up, and the game has not started yet. Hopefully the Wallabies go well, but Wales should pull through, says Benjamin. I think the general gist of what I've heard about this game is it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be split by a huge margin between the two sides. I believe we're going to get to see, I would say, a game split by 7 points or less, if I had to guess. And I will say it's 5 points in favour of the Welsh. You never know what can happen, though, because you've got Nawankwinita Wasi, whose name I still say slightly wrong. It's quite a hard one to get the tongue around, but he's one of those players who last week he really showed what a class player he is up against the Irish. James Slipper's looking about as determined as anyone ever could for this game. He hasn't blinked once. It's quite hard to do, I would think, in a big stadium, and I won't be watching this one, unfortunately, because Leinster play at the same time they do. The URC is back in full effect, and there are a lot of games that are overlapping, including who's playing? I think it's Glasgow actually have their first game back in the URC. They are going to be playing at the exact same time as South Africa play England. So it's a bit of an interesting timing one. I would have thought the URC would have been better off waiting one more week, but like I mentioned, this game outside of the international window. So in a way, this game should have happened a week earlier, if that makes sense. But they couldn't because Australia have been playing back to back to back. Like I mentioned, they have played 4 fixtures. This is the last of their November internationals. And then next week, we have actually got the Dubai Sevens, which we will be covering on the YouTube channel as well, just after my birthday. So I think there's going to be a sleepless weekend from the Dubai Sevens. And we've also got a podcast to film at some stage. That's going to be a tricky one. We've actually tried to work out schedules to get me, George, Daniel, and Isaac all available. We've learned that we're all on very different schedules, but we may just be able to squeeze in a podcast maybe Sunday morning. Might be when we get to do it. But the Welsh national anthem being sung by not just this Welsh team, but also the Principality Stadium. And I did it a no game on now. Yeah, the Leinster game is going to be starting very soon, isn't it? But the next game that has taken place, or is it Leinster versus Glasgow? Is that the matchup? Because I know that someone plays at 6:30 a.m. for the URC. There you go. Welsh passion on display once again. Our Alan Wynne-Jones, he wants to, the thing is, I always say he wants to close out his season that could be his last with a win, but that man just doesn't retire. He's going to be there for the Rugby World Cup 2027 at this rate, the way the body keeps on repairing itself. Him and Adam Beard in the locking duo, it's going to be an interesting one seeing them go head-to-head with the Wallabies for this game. And I think I'm looking forward to most. Actually, there's a late change. There's no Lee Halfpenny in that starting lineup for Wales. I do see actually Josh Adams is in the starting lineup. So that is one of the late changes that Wales have had to make. But that will be, I guess, a little bit more interesting with the fact that I said he was going to be an impact player off the bench. Now he's going to be an impact player in the starting lineup. I have to see how he does end up going. But do let me know your score predictions in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, for this contest. Like I mentioned, it is the first of 2 internationals that we are covering on the channel on this exciting day of international rugby. Now, I did actually sleep before these live streams. I had to be strategic because I got up nice and early, go down to the cricket ground to find out that the game was rained off, which I could have told you from my house because it was absolutely bucketing down. But we went down there. We won the toss, which I think is about all that matters. So really we're the winners of the day. So it's going to be Costello actually coming off the bench for the Welsh, showing someone with a dragon on their head. That is normal at the Principality Stadium. And also Wales to win 21 points to 18, says Kevin. I like that score. I like the fact that I haven't seen anyone say this is going to be a runaway for either side. And I feel like that is when we see the best international fixtures, when everyone thinks it's going to be one of those games that are just down to the absolute last minute. Game like England versus All Blacks comes to mind. A game like you could say Wales versus Georgia last week, Ireland versus Australia last week, maybe with a few more points just to keep them ticking over. And yes, Leinster play the Scottish and Munster, play Connacht, or tonight versus Connacht. And there as well. So yeah, a couple of big games of the URC actually taking place today as well. And Wales 22, the Wallabies 17. Okay, so the 5 points in favour of the Welsh. And Australia will score in the first few minutes, says Gavin. And yeah, I guess that's one thing that Wales actually did very well up against Georgia, was get those early tries. But then from there, Georgia seemed to be able to just shut down that attack. This Principality Stadium, I can see what they're saying when they say about it looking muddy. It looks like all it's going to take is one scrum on the halfway line, and maybe the groundskeeper hands in his resignation. It's looking like it's going to be one of those games similar to, what game was it last week? France versus Japan. The turf got destroyed. I feel like the groundskeeper will still be trying to fix that one. But the game going to be kicked off now. The Wallabies kicking from left to right, and we are underway for another November international. Adam Baird doesn't take it cleanly, and the Australians end up with their own kickoff 22 metres out from the Welsh line. Jake Gordon goes across the slipper, in behind now. Short little pop pass attempt from Jordi Patai. Got it wrong, but they're going back for the initial knock-on from Adam Baird, and the scrum feed will be for the Australians. So straight away, we're going to get to see what this turf does when there are a whole heap of about 900 kgs on both sides pushing. It's going to be interesting. So yeah, it does end up going. Speaking of pushing and whatnot, did anyone get themselves a good Black Friday sale deal? Do let me know, ladies and gentlemen, because of course we had it in New Zealand. I believe they would have had it in a majority of other regions of the world. It might actually still be Black Friday. No, it's Saturday everywhere, I think, almost. Is there anywhere that it's still Friday? But yeah, do let me know if you got yourself any bargains. Did you buy a big TV or anything like that? Do let me know in the comments. Now, 1 minute down in this game. Jake Gordon about to feed this ball in. I'm in a hyper mood. I had a slushy earlier on today. Those are just pure sugar, aren't they? Right, that one's gone down. Unstable from the start. So now it's going to be another scrum feed for the Australians. But yeah, very shaky scrum to start us off. Players trying to get all the mud out of their sprigs. Doesn't look too bad, though, for that first scrum. Maybe because they didn't get their full pushing potential. Nice and stable for Alan Alatoa's side. He's going head-to-head with Gareth Thomas here in this fixture. Now, binding once again. The Australians, so they've got a dream start to this game with the fact that they did end up with that drop ball from the Welsh. It's an advantage to the Australians. The ball available off the back. It's actually taken in the end by Jack Morgan to shut down that opportunity. And now Australia have got an easy 3 points if they want it. And also Hershey has said go Wales there in the chat as well. Right, James Slipper says we'll take on the 3. Thank you, Mr. Carley. I can see why he didn't become a teacher, to be honest. That doesn't quite roll off the tongue for Matthew Carley, the referee. But was a big push there from, I believe it was actually on that far side, James Slipper up against Dylan Lewis. Just got him driving backwards early, which then created that opportunity to drive right through, get themselves a penalty. Fahim has said hello, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. Hope you're excited for this contest. And also England versus South Africa taking place a little bit later on tonight. It is a great day to be a rugby fan. Definitely if you don't mind a late night here in New Zealand, because I know a lot of people will be getting up nice and early to watch that England-South Africa game when it does take place. But Ben Donaldson had the opportunity to get the winning kick, I believe, up against the Italians. If I'm not wrong, if I've got the player right, he did miss it. Now this is going to be the big opportunity for him. Get some points on the board early up against the Welsh. From about 25 metres out, should be relatively straightforward. He's made it tricky, but it has still gone over, and that will make the score 3-0 now for Australia. So someone said that they would score in the first few minutes. Now, if you were talking just points, you are 100% on the money there, Gavin. Of course, they would have loved to be able to convert it into a try. Still time, though. Dave Rennie's going to drink from actually a regular-sized drink bottle. The reason I say that is last week we were, I wouldn't say complaining, but we were questioning why the coaches all have to drink from those tiny little miniature drink bottles rather than just a full-size one. Dave Rennie may have also complained because he has got a full-size one in the commentary box. That would be a weird time to come into the live stream. But now, off to the side, nice attack and run from Jed Holloway. And also, why don't you do the FIFA World Cup, says Fahim? Well, we do have plans of doing some FIFA World Cup in the future. Pretty much the reasoning behind it is because we've received quite a few copyright strikes in the past for not showing match footage. I didn't want to end up, wow, that's a big shot from Langy Gleeson. That was huge from that man. He got a big shot on Josh Adams. But yeah, pretty much because I didn't want to receive a copyright strike, not be able to stream for 2 weeks and then miss all of these November internationals. That is the reasoning why we didn't do the FIFA World Cup for the first week. And there's nothing else other than that. I actually had a few live streams that I was very close to starting, but then I decided against it just because If we received the copyright strike, it would have meant we weren't able to do this game or England versus South Africa or the Dubai Sevens, which is pretty much our bread and butter on the Kiwi Lads channel. Nice bit of work there from Australia, putting on a bit of extra pressure when the Welsh were trying to use the backline. Little knock on from the Aussies, though. Langy Gleeson looks like he started this game pretty quick. He's just been smacked in the back of the head from Folau Fainga'a. Now, that shot that Folau Fainga'a has just put on his teammate would concuss 90% of people, but Langy Gleeson, he got the headgear on. He all right. And also, Australia will score 2 tries before half-time. Says Gavin there as well. Alina Cattell, when he tried to make that tackle, ended up just getting a little bit of the hand on it. And this is actually Langy Gleeson's first start, and it's all about taking the opportunity. Like they mentioned before the game, with so many injuries, 20 to be exact, well, 19 to be exact, for the Australians, it means there's so much space for new players to make their way through and put their name in the hat, I guess you could say. A lot of these guys playing for Australia A throughout the Pacific Nations Cup. But Wales, they've also got some spots that they want to secure heading into the Rugby World Cup in 280 days. It's a nice scrum. They've got themselves the advantage now, going for the cross kick. It's going high. Dyer tries to keep it in the field of play. They will be going back for the initial penalty. Josh Adams wants the ball, and he gets it. Should mention Lewis Rees-Zammit, another player missing for Wales here in this game. That is due to the fact that it's outside of the November international window, so he is not allowed to play due to prior club commitments, I guess is the best way of describing it. It's also why we have seen a few other big players not playing in this contest. Now, it looks like straight away Wales are going for the corner here rather than going for the 3 points. And also Australian Black Caps game at 2:30, says Rice in there. Is that their second ODI up against India? By that stage, we'll see how we're going. It will depend on whether or not we feel like we've got another 7.5 hours of commentary in us after being up at this hour of the morning. We've got a couple of things planned, though, for when we get round to the test matches. We are hoping to do a little bit more of the cricket, but it's kind of that same thing as what we had for the football in terms of we've had copyright strikes before in the past, even if not showing the game, from random YouTube channels trying to get everyone watching theirs, if that makes sense. There's a bit of dirty stuff going on YouTube at the moment in the streaming community, unfortunately, which is always sad to see. It's a knock-on from Thomas Williams. So it will be a scrum feed now for the Australians, only about 10 metres out from their line. But yeah, it all depends on what games a certain YouTube channel is streaming. Does depend on what games we can kind of stream, or at least look at streaming, because we received a copyright strike from one of them in the past. I'm going to have to do a lot of drinking today. Water, that is. Yeah. It's going to be one of those days. It's actually quite a nice evening here. 9 degrees Celsius, which sounds cold, but it's actually quite pleasant compared to the day that we've had today. 100th test for Wales and the Lions for Talupe Faletau. Interesting stat there, because I feel like depending on how many games he's had for the British and Irish Lions, he must not quite be there for his 100th just for Wales, but they wanted to get that stat in there somewhere. And also, did you see Stormers bet scale? It's 36-19. I did a good performance from the Stormers in their first week back of the URC. And what's that? Says it was given there. Yeah, it's this weird clear stuff. Comes out of mid-tap. Reece Hodge gets the start at number 12. First test start at inside centre since 2016. I mentioned those 19 injuries for the Wallabies. They had to really have a reshuffle in some of their positions. But like I mentioned, also gives the opportunity to those young guys. It's going to be a throw in here for Ken Owens. Currently 8 minutes into this fixture between Wales and the Wallabies. It's gone up in the middle. Tuparik takes it nicely. Now Owens gets the wraparound. Nice inside ball into the hands of Joe Hawkins. I believe he normally plays. Does he play for the Ospreys in the URC, Joe Hawkins? Is that where I've seen that name before? It is going to be going off to the left-hand side, though, now. Another one to Hawkins, gives it off to Ken Owens. Those two are getting involved very early in the Bulls. But the Ospreys 43 points to 26. So yeah, a couple good wins for the South African sides. Hopefully it helps the international side really get themselves going in their upcoming fixture. Straight over the ball for Dave Parecki. No, wasn't able to get it. And it wasn't Dave Parecki. It was actually Reece Hodge. Bit of a difference there. Parecki is in the country in Wales. That's going to be the advantage now in favour of the Welsh. This is 22 metres out, so this is an easy 3 points if they want it. But first of all, they'll continue with the attack. Thomas Williams tries to snipe around the side. Alan Wynne-Jones breaking the line, passes it off now. 5 metres out. No, he's gone over. And Jack Morgan gets the try for Wales, and Alan Wynne-Jones gets a lot of credit for that one. The big man, the veteran of this Welsh side, breaking his way through the line off the offload of Thomas Williams. And then Jack Morgan, the youngster, gets himself the next try. It's kind of like a passing of the torch in a way, you could say. He's probably got about 15 years on him at least. Alan Wynne-Jones, an Ospreys man myself, says Mick Brown there. Yeah, we'll be interested to see how the URC develops when all these international players make their way back into their sides. Because, yeah, there's plenty of games going on. We've got the URC, like I mentioned, the Dubai Sevens. That's going to be next week. We are covering them on the channel as well. They're not too bad a time zone for us here in New Zealand for a start. I think they are 6 p.m. games. And then from then, I think it goes into about maybe 3 a.m., somewhere around there. And let's go Wales try, says Nathan. Wales and South Africa to win today, says Rice. Because I haven't actually checked to see what the odds are for that other match between South Africa and England. I believe South Africa, I want to say they'd come in as favourites, but maybe only narrowly. It might be one of those games, could easily go either way. That kick has gone over, 7 points to 3 now in favour of Wales. But Alan Wynne-Jones breaking the line, offload on the inside. And then Jack Morgan just driving with the legs. Alan Alatoa tried to take him down, but he wasn't able to. 5 out from the line. Okay, so South Africa actually $2.25 underdogs. Hang on, what we got now? I thought for a second they were going to have a look at something on the TMO, and I was thinking the kick's already been taken. They're already at halfway, but I think it was something to do with an injury, probably for the Wallabies, if anything, to go by for their past games. Nicely taken, almost by Geordie Pataya. But now Jack Morgan gets another run going for the offloads. It gives it straight to Langy Gleeson. No advantage. We go back for the scrum. And also we've got that Camru and Biff. Go, boys, go. I feel like I said that very wrong, didn't I, Mick? And your Ospreys and Scarlets look like children playing against South African Giants. Although you'd have to say, they look like children. Children shouldn't be scoring 19 and 26 points. I feel like the South African sides will be a little bit disappointed with letting them score so many times if it was the case of the children versus the adults. You know, like normally if you're playing up against a kid's side, you'd let them score one try just to get the confidence up, and then you'd crush them. That doesn't seem like that's what quite happened a couple of those games, though. Still decent. Did they get... I assume the Bulls would have got their bonus point. Did the Stormers sneak their bonus point in the end, Yanri? Or did they end up missing out? Because they'll be disappointed if they missed out, if they were supposed to dominate. Now, ball available, Thomas Williams. No, in fact, that's actually Hardy who's out there on the field. Now, I believe that's from the early knock that we saw for Thomas Williams. It did seem like he had some sort of head injury a little bit and means Wales forever, says Mick Brown. And they've got another handling error in this game. We will see a few of them like we mentioned earlier on. It's a muddy day between these two sides. Looks like that ball was just out the back, and then Kieran Hardy, just enough pressure on him from Jake Gordon to force the handling error. And now it's going to be a line out for the Australians. And also, the Bulls got their 5 points, says Yanri. And their nice short ball for Reece Hodge. Playing it inside centre first time since 2016, like they said earlier on. Now Kadrian Neville looks for the offload. Does manage to find it. Now Leonard Cattell unable to find one on the inside. And South African Giants heard of Crusaders and Blues. Ring a bell, says Nate in there. And it's always that question. I do get it quite a bit as well. What would happen if South Africa sides played New Zealand sides now? And it'll be interesting to see if they had a neutral game for those sides. Maybe an off-season game would be actually really cool, but Sanzar wouldn't go for it, unfortunately. Alan Alatoa, now James Slipper's knocked the ball on. Setting up for Cuthbert. We're going back for another advantage here. So the discipline of both sides, letting them down a little bit at the moment. Quite a few penalties back-to-back up against the Welsh, but it was that high shot around the shoulder, about the seatbelt tackle style from, I believe, who was that? I think that was Joe Hawkins, in fact. Did I have that one? It looks like Angus Bell ready to go onto the field, so that could be another injury for the Australians, or it might actually be an HIA. They might be checking out James Slipper here. Yep, he's going up for the HIA. Now, if any of the other games are anything to go by, James Slipper more than likely will be failing this one, unfortunately, because we've seen a lot of concussions for the Australians. We're going to look through that list again of injuries. Concussion for Nick White. Concussion for Michael Hooper. Concussion for Dave Parecki. That's actually the 3. So maybe James Slipper find himself getting added to that list. But a big opportunity. I just realized I called him Angus Bell about 3 times in a row. It's actually Tom Robinson who's made his way onto the field, the Western Force prop. Now Ben Donaldson lining up another kick here for the Australians. Already 15 minutes through this game and is absolutely flying by the Principality Stadium, but a big opportunity here for Donaldson. Like I mentioned last week, 0 from 1. Well, actually the week prior, I should say, 0 from 1. But this week, sitting 1 from 1 so far. High Stormers also got their 5 points. Also, they managed to squeeze it. Now, that is good news for the defending champs. And that's the thing. You want every point you can get on offer early on, because if you can get those points, then all of a sudden you've got yourself home quarterfinals, home semi-finals, and then from there, maybe going through to the final as well. We have also got their Sharks and the Stormers would beat Crusaders and Bulls, but the Bulls and Lions would have a game on their hand. Says Yanri now, and are you streaming any matches of the FIFA World Cup? Says Ahmad. I was wanting to for the first week, but because we had these games coming up this weekend, I didn't want to risk anything in terms of the copyright because of how easy it is now to get a false copyright strike on YouTube. It means we're kind of limited in what we can stream outside of our normal comfort zone stream. So I was going to do, I believe originally in the schedule, I had about 10 of the FIFA World Cup games of that first week I was going to be covering, but I saw a couple channels had a couple issues with copyright, and I couldn't really risk it with such a big match coming up. And the Dubai Sevens just around the corner. Like, that's a competition that was actually the first one other than the Olympic Games that we actually covered on the channel, I believe. So it's pretty awesome. And when are you streaming cricket next? Probably around that same time, once the copyright situation does mean if we do end up with a copyright strike, we have, I guess, a bit of leeway for a couple of weeks, because that's the thing. Because you can't get a copyright strike removed straight away, you do need to wait 2 weeks normally when you don't hear back from the copyright plaintiff. That's gone almost into touch. Nice work from Ken Owens. Managed to keep that ball in the field of play, and Kieran Hardy has to jump on it, gets back up to his feet, crawls forward, Falafanga gets over the ball, but does end up losing his footing. But yeah, pretty much once you take into account that you have to pretty much not stream for 2 weeks, I mean, to be fair, I get a lot of building done. I'll probably be able to go full-time for a couple of weeks if I did end up getting copyright struck, but it's not really the point. We would want to be doing our streams each and every week as well. And this game is going to be that 1 point between the teams. Either Wales will win by 1 point or Australia will win by 1 point. Says Yanri now. Kieran Hardy now goes off to Ken Owens, and Crusaders holds the most Super Rugby titles. Yanri now. And there, as I says, Nate now. Nice attack and run from Jack Morgan. Nice position here from the Welsh, up to 11 phases now in a row. Josh Adams joining the back line. He is playing fullback for this game. Probably a bit of a position he's not too accustomed to at international level. Does normally find himself slotting in on the wing. Another good run from Jack Morgan. At the moment, it's a battle with him versus Langy Gleeson. That's going to be the penalty in favour of the Welsh for Australia not rolling away. Fraser McWright penalised for not rolling away, I believe it was. Yeah, he didn't quite. Oh, I'll tell you what, he was almost out of the way, though. Well, that one, but I believe Wales might consider taking on the 3 points here. Should mention that Australia, they were able to get the conversion a little bit earlier on, or that penalty kick, so it does make the score 7 points to 6 currently in here. But yeah, I know that there's some big matches coming up between New Zealand and India, and also Australia versus West Indies. I believe they have a test series coming up relatively soon, and I'm hoping to be able to cover some of it on the channel. Fingers crossed. It all just kind of depends on, what another channel that I know will copyright strike us will do. The problem is, because they're a much bigger channel than us, YouTube don't really care that they do it, which is a bit of a shame. And yeah, the Crusaders in old Super Rugby was one of the most dominant teams the world has ever seen. Says Yanri now, and also we get their high says motivation. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. Gareth and Skim hoping to be doing very well also with this kick coming up just around the corner. Or in fact, I've just learned, do we play India in a test series? We don't. We don't actually have them. Kick, though, has gone over. Brilliant kick from Anscombe. And that will now make the score after 19 minutes. 10 points to Wales, 6 for the Australians. So currently a 4 points difference. I want to say that they'd be looking pretty happy in the commentary box, but Wayne Pivak is not looking happy at all. The coaching box, I should say, rather than the commentary. Commentary box will not be happy, as they are Australian at this stage. Australia down a little bit. The Kiwi Lads won't be streaming any FIFA World Cup and cricket due to copyright, says Nate. Or at least not any in the next, it's a tricky one. When is the next leg of Dubai? Or not Dubai, but just the sevens? Because that may affect it. Because if we can get away with doing some of the games, just sneaking in a couple matches every once in a while. Okay, they haven't actually announced when the next leg of the Dubai Sevens is. Not on my app anyway. I'm sure I could find it on the World Rugby Sevens website. But we might be able to squeeze in a couple games throughout the week. It's just more of the case of we might end up missing out some of Dubai, depending on how it goes. Yeah, man, Poland beat Saudi Arabia 2-0. Well, that's not straight. From Falau Whainga'a, but it's going to be nicely claimed by Ken Owens, 40 metres out. Langy Gleeson with another good tackle. That's going to be the penalty against the Australians. Back to going back, and Saudi Arabia beat Argentina. Yeah, massive win. There's been some good upsets. Japan managing to beat Germany. That is a massive win for the Japanese. Also, alongside that, seen a couple pretty good draws along the way for underdog sides who weren't supposed to have a chance and still kept in. Rugby Sevens, the bread and the butter, says Nate. Yeah, nice bit of Dubai. Sevens just around the corner. I'm excited for that because we got to see it in Hong Kong. We got that taster about 3 or 4 weeks ago. That was the weekend that my brain stopped working because it was hectic. We had sevens. We had international rugby. I swear we were covering something else. We had the Women's World Cup, the Rugby League World Cup. We were pretty much juggling everything all in a very narrow amount of time. Okay, so it's actually the week after Cape Town Sevens. That has taken place on the 9th to the 11th of December. And then, yeah, so it's kind of back-to-back Sevens weeks. So it's a hard one. It's a really tough one. We might end up covering some of it on maybe the Kiwi Lads Sport channel instead. Just because that way we can at least try and avoid copyright. And if we do get the copyright strike on there, it's not the end of the world. It will just be a bit of an I told you so moment that I'll be able to say, I knew that they would copyright strike us. Now, Thomas Williams goes back to Anscombe. Nice offload from Alan Wynne-Jones. Bit of a wedgie there from Alan Alatoa. Decent tactic there. Now, Anscombe tries to skip his way through the line. Another good tackle made by Whainga'a. Going off to the left-hand side. Quick hands from Beard. Goes off to Cuthbert. It's a long way off his wing. He's actually on the left wing side rather than the right here. Now, Hardy once again going across. Nice pop pass up to Justin Chipperick. Now gets a bit of the drive going there. The captain, 15 metres out. Hardy goes one more. This is great work from Wales. Their phase play been very good throughout this match. Benetton beat Edinburgh 24 points to 17 with 14 men. Down the wing to Lupe Falatau. Was he over? He might have been in touch. Maybe a foot over the touchline, or maybe more likely a knee for him there. But is that going to be the Welsh try? That might give them a very handy lead. Only 22 minutes in, still plenty of time left on the clock for Australia and Wales to get themselves a lot more points. But on-field decision is try, so they need clear, conclusive evidence. There was not able to get this ball in the field of play. Or it was over a touch. And also we have got there, F-Bro, one more copyright comment and I'm gone, says Willie. And I pretty much have to keep on clarifying it though, unfortunately, because we do get the new viewers returning who do say what is the go with why you aren't doing certain competitions. That's going to be a try for Talupe Falatau. He's kept himself in the field of play, 22 minutes into this game, I should say. And Falatau adding the second try of the match now for the Welsh. Now, Falatau, I mentioned that I wanted to see him go head-to-head with Rob Valentini. Sadly, due to the 19 injuries for the Wallabies, heard that correctly, 19. And also was besides the cricket. And there's Sammy Sosa. I'm not allowed to mention the other word or else Willie will flip his cot. So at this stage, it's not so much, it's not FIFA themselves, but it's the channels covering it. It's actually the same one who did the cricket who got us a while ago. They are now doing the FIFA World Cup as well, which means that they will be handing out strikes for fun. And Leinster destroying Glasgow Warriors as usual, says Yanri now. And Leinster, they're a tough side. And they will have the Irish internationals back now as well, we need to remember. So they'll be a tough side heading forward in the competition. I can't wait to see them in the Champions Cup. That is also another competition coming up just around the corner, but that one has now gone over. And that is going to make the score 17 points to 6. Wales with a nice lead of 11 points here at the moment. It was a good backline. Anscombe then found the hands of Josh Adams. The quick hands from Rio Dyer out on the wing. To Lupe Falatau for Jake Gordon to try and drive him into touch was always going to be a very tough ask. And also Greg gives a Welsh a bit of a cushion, says Mick Brown. Exactly right. As long as they can keep themselves with a little bit more of a lead than the Australians. You want to have that 7-point buffer at least. And now with 11, they'll be sitting not too badly at the moment. And if they can get themselves another before half-time, they will be smiling with joy heading into the second half. Ireland Jones, another carry for him. He's already been able to get himself the try assist throughout the first half of this game. Now rolling it back, Kieran Hardy going to be putting it high. Looks like Dyer's trying to line this one up. He's trying to search for it. Wasn't quite able to get an ARDA. I'll see scrum. Let's welcome in. Hope you are doing very well. At the moment, Australia, they are struggling a little bit up against the Welsh, but they're trying to fire their way back in. Jay Gordon now trips over the man who was offside. Milked that one beautifully. That will not make the Principality Stadium too happy. I'll be surprised if Fiji or Georgia don't beat Australia and Wales. The way both teams are playing right now in the World Cup next year. Says Sammy Sosa, yeah, I mentioned it before the match started. That's a great bit of work from Wales getting over the ball and winning the penalty. Even though Australia decided to take the quick tap, they did end up blowing that opportunity pretty much straight after. But yeah, for me, the closest group of the Rugby World Cup is going to be that one because you got Fiji, Georgia, Australia, Wales, and then you've also actually got Portugal. Bit of a dark horse. They went through the repechage, got themselves into that Rugby World Cup, and they're a good side on their day. They could probably beat, I want to say, a Fiji or Georgia, the one of those two sides that aren't having their best competition. I think Portugal may beat them. It's a bold call. That's why it has to be the team who aren't having the best competition. I'm not actually too sure who Portugal play first. I assume it would be a relatively big game. On the low right, James Slipper, he has passed the HIA, so he is going to be making his way back out onto the field. Looks like they've got a couple other Welsh players warming up as well, and I guess that is just due to the fact that we've seen so many injuries throughout this November internationals. As a player, you've got to be ready at all times. Onto the halfway line now, Kieran Hardy now goes back. Nice ball from Hawkins. Gives it on the inside. Jack Morgan still charging forward. Wasn't able to find the offload he was after. 25 metres out. Ireland Jones now crashes at the line. He's knocked it on, though. And Australia now with a counter-attacking opportunity. Portugal are likely banana skin for Fiji and Georgia. Says Sammy Sosa there. Going to be the knock-on advantage now. Jake Gordon goes across to the left-hand side to Alan Alaratoa. It looks like Jake Gordon looking to put this one maybe back into the pocket or might kick it himself. Oh, time off. Okay, no arms tackle from gold number 5. That's Cadron Neville, who may have just given away a silly penalty for the Australians, definitely because they just got their ball back. Morena from Australia, scrum less, says Nate. And there as well, yeah, Australia, you guys are sitting at 2:40 a.m., aren't you? But that's become a penalty to Wales for a no-arms tackle. Just not a great era to have for the Australians. And Ospreys lost my home city. So come on, Wales, do it for all Welshmen, says Mick Brown. And also, thank you, brother. Hope you're well, says Scrumlets. And there's quite a few similarities between Wales and Australia throughout these November internationals. We've seen Australia get themselves one win. Same can be said against or for the Welsh. We've seen Australia lose to a side they should have beaten. Same can be said about Wales in their game up against the Georgians. So there's actually a whole heap of similarities between the two teams. But at the moment for this game, Wales have been looking like the better side throughout the early stages. We've seen some great runs from Jack Morgan to Luke Falatau also getting involved well. Joe Hawkins has been dominating that backline in terms of finding those passes. And Italy beat Aussies with ease. And there as well, love forever fashion is said. And there as well. But now it is going to be 27 minutes through. Gareth Anscombe, another kicking opportunity for the Welsh. Should mention as well, we are only 1 hour and 45 minutes away from South Africa versus England. That is certainly going to be a massive game when it does come around. We will be doing the commentary for that one on the channel as well. And that kick has gone over. So that is going to make the score now 20 points to 6 in favour of the Welsh. So very nicely done throughout the early stages of the fixture. Getting those points anytime there's the opportunity. And Georgia strong team, says Mick Brown. And they are coming a long way, which is why I feel like some of these minnow teams or teams who were recently considered minnows are now becoming contenders. And I love that. Italy, they're looking like a strong side. It's just a shame that they got France and New Zealand in their Rugby World Cup group. That's going to be slapped back by Jordan Patai. Now Alan Alaratoa. Nice inside ball to Falau Fainga'a. And Australia, again, have been able to retain their kickoff. Jake Gordon going off to the left-hand side. Bit of a handling error there for Neville. But he was able to just regather. Gordon goes off to the left once again. Donaldson short ball to Nick Frost. Gordon goes off to the right-hand side, still up to the 22. Gives it to Alan Alaratoa. Like he almost dropped that one on the way down to the ground, and also not a result I expected, says Tian. Yeah, and I think Australia, they've still got some stuff left at the gas tank at the moment. They haven't really had too many attacks. Now they're going down the wing. Jed all the way 5 metres out from the line. He's been forced into touch, so brilliant tackle from Wales. And Leon Ekatau having a bit of an argument there with Ben Donaldson. Jed Holloway, I should say. Player number 6 for this game. It looks like he's been tackled, but at what cost? It looks like there might be an injury for Wales here. 29 minutes through, still 11 minutes of this first half remaining. Got time off at the moment. I believe that will be to check on, I think Josh Adams might have hurt himself in the process of making that tackle. Did he get his head on the, he's just head-butted the hip bone. Wouldn't have felt too good, but he still managed to make the tackle, and they'll come back in the second half. Very feral and sweet as all is good on my side scrum. That's good to see here. See you, Nate. So yeah, at the moment it looks like Jed Holloway here is getting his boot back on his foot. Got the same rugby boots as me almost, except a different color. And then Josh Adams currently looks like it might actually be that shoulder that's given him a bit of grief rather than the head knock that he did take in the process. The crowd currently singing along with some songs. But I should mention Dubai Sevens runs from 7 a.m. all the way through to 6 a.m. So it is quite a long day of the Sevens. I think there's about a 2-hour gap in between when the matches take place. So we are going to be covering a majority of them on the channel. The Saturday night, we've got the semi-finals. I'm just checking to see when it becomes finals time. In the morning, yeah, so Sunday morning is the last day that it takes place, and the final is actually on at 4:30 a.m. or so. Now, kick downfield from Wales, hasn't found touch, so Nawakwanina Wasi takes it nicely, gives it off to Tom Wright. Tries to drive through, but Talupe Falatau able to make a nice tackle on him as well. Jake Gordon looking for the penalty, wasn't able to get it. Langy Gleeson passes back across Donaldson to Fraser McWright. A lot of Waratahs, like I mentioned, in this lineup. And they're another side that have come a long way in the last year or so for Super Rugby Pacific. Nawakwanina Wasi going straight through, stepping nicely, finds the offload to Hodge, who looked for it as well, but he's knocked it on in the process. I'd love to see the rugby landscape has changed with more countries coming through. Great competition, says MIGP. Exactly right. It's one of those ones that it's crazy how quickly it's happened as well, I guess you could say. It's literally like this year and maybe some of last year to an extent that we've seen these lower sides start to really fight back. Currently, Glasgow are losing 19-0 in their game up against Leinster. I should mention for anyone following along with that game as well. Jordi Pattaya takes it nicely down the wing, tackled by Rio Dyer. But yeah, you look at Italy. Like it was last year, in fact, that people were saying they're going to be a side that we want to replace in the Six Nations with Georgia. Now, after this November international window, everyone's saying, I can't wait to see them play up against Ireland, France, Wales, Scotland, and England next year. So it's crazy how quickly the turnaround has happened, but it is awesome to see it as well. Samoa, another side that I think have come a long way in recent times. They've still got a long way to go before they get to that Rugby World Cup, but they're a side that I think have still got some potential to be able to maybe cause one upset if they do get the squad selection right. Nawakwanina Wasi once again trying to go around the side. It's going to be the advantage to the Australians. Jake Gordon off to the right-hand side. Now it's going to be a knock-on from Falau Fainga. It's just that last pass at the moment for Australia that isn't quite sticking to the hands the way that they want it to. Matthew Carley has said we're going right back for another high tackle. Yeah, high tackle against the Welsh. And also we have got their be right back, need some tea, says Scrumless. There's also, we will see you in a short moment. But yeah, like I mentioned a little bit ago, 1 minute, or not 1 minute, that would be quite quick. I can't speak anymore, too excited. Just about to mention the fact that England versus South Africa is 1 hour, 14 minutes away from taking place. That is going to be a game and a half. And the moment, Nawakwanina Wasi, he is doing extremely well for a player who's only recently made his way into the Wallabies. He seems like he's really finding his feet underneath, and always thought Georgia were good a while ago, says Mick Brown. Yeah, Georgia have always been that side that their forwards have been great in the past. It's just trying to get that backline to help them out as well, because there's a reason that a lot of these Georgian guys play in France, and it's because they're very talented individuals and they're just looking for that chance to bust into the international scene. And a New Zealand playing today, they are not. They have finished their international, so they finished on a draw between themselves and England. 25-25 draw, a result that I don't think we're going to see in the game between England and South Africa, but you just never know. However, coffee, please, sister scrum lass, says Nate. And also, no, says Atene. Okay, please don't do it, is the comment from Matthew Carley to James Slipper. But now Australia, they will be kicking this one for the corner. With the difference in points being 14, they need a try here. Try and get themselves back into the contest before the 40 minutes is up. Matthew Carley said he needs the water off. Although it does look very muddy out there. I feel like a good drainage system goes a long way on a rugby ground. And the Principality is normally not too bad with soaking up the moisture at the moment. 60% possession in favour of Wales. Meters made 305 compared to the 137 of Australia. So we have really seen this Welsh side find their feet early. Australia, they've had their little chances, but they haven't really taken them. Nicely taken at the front there, though, by Cadron Neville. In fact, it was Nick Frost who was able to claim it, and now it's another advantage in favour of the Australians. Folau Fainga'a trying to get this one rolling forward. Jake Gordon looking for the ball. It is actually rolling along the ground at the back, so that will be going back for another penalty in favour of Australia. Georgian rugby has been impressive and growing big since the 2011 Rugby World Cup in New Zealand, says Nate there. Yeah, I can see them as a side that, you give them another 5 years or so, they could be in the top 10. And also major upsets in the FIFA World Cup. Argentina beaten by Saudi Arabia, and England played nil or draw against the USA Coding. And also, got to add another one to that, Japan beating Germany when they were 1-0 down, coming back in the last kind of 20 or 30 minutes of that contest. That's got to be up there as well as one of the biggest upsets of the competition. But now there's going to be another rolling maul. Folau Fainga'a has it at the back. It's only 5 meters out now. Jake Gordon looking like he's getting ready to grab this ball. Doesn't want to yet, though. Decides to let it roll for just a little bit longer. Fainga'a closing in on the goal line. Dives over. He's just short of the line. Brilliant work there. Hang on. Matthew Carley may have called that one a little bit too early. Did he try and put it over the line, or was he trying to recycle it? On-field decision is a try. Okay, that is why he decided to go up for it, because he felt that it was actually a try that was worth having a look at. But they need compelling evidence that this one was over the line. Folau Fainga'a, I think he got excited here. Thought he was going to be going over the line, and then he was just short. Yeah, I don't think that is going to be a try, or is it? I can't see it from this angle. That's held up for me. That looks down, but I don't know whether it's over the try line, which is the problem. The thing is, though, the on-field decision is try. Matthew Carley made that very clear. He thinks it's a try. It's whether or not there is enough evidence to be able to overrule it here. Okay, no compelling evidence to overrule. It's going to be the try for the Australians, and Folau Fainga'a. He almost blew it by going too early, but he got the try. In the end, that will make the score 20 points to 11 in favour of the Welsh still, but that closes that gap a little bit more, which I'm sure will make the Australians very happy heading almost into half-time. We're just seeing it from another angle. See, the thing is, I feel like in a way, Wales will feel hard done by there. New Zealand playing today, they are not. Unfortunately, they have finished their November internationals, but we have still got a few other big matches taking place for international rugby. In fact, well, there's just the one, isn't there? It's coming up 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time, almost an hour and a half till that game has taken place. South Africa, England. What is your prediction for that one, Kwasi? Do let me know. It's a big game, that is for sure. That one has gone over from Ben Donaldson, and that will now make the score 20 points to 13. So a high-scoring one. Actually, already more points in this first half than we saw throughout the whole matchup of Ireland versus Australia and the whole matchup of Wales versus Georgia last week. Now, that is not combined. If we got one more try in this first half, I believe that would almost be up to that combined stage, though, of having more points on the board. Oh, miscommunication there. Jordan Pattaya does end up taking it in the end, though. Him and Reece Hodge looked at each other going, who is taking that one? And Wales decide against going for that quick throw. That's a massive kick from Jordan Pattaya. Managed to get it right down to almost halfway. And good game. Says, Nate, yeah, nice high-scoring one, which is exactly what everyone wanted, being the match before England versus South Africa. Everyone wanted to see a high-scoring close game, and that's what we're getting so far. Box to win 21-19. Says Mickey T there. Going to go over the top. Wales narrowly keeping that ball. Gareth Anscombe goes across down to Jack Morgan. He's been absolutely incredible throughout this first half, trying to secure himself maybe that number 6 jersey in the future. I'll throw on a couple of the big forwards at the line. I believe it would have been Gareth Thomas. Now, box kick from Hardy. So high Rio Dyer once again going to be contesting for the... Oh, he's just dropped it cold. It's gone backwards, though. The thing is, there was no one going for that ball up against Rio Dyer, so he had a free crack at it. Now Dylan Lewis, another nice run to Lupe Faletau. Offload to Tipperick. They've done well to shut him out of the game, Tipperick. But Faletau already scoring the try earlier. Nice attacking run. I believe it was George North carrying that ball hard at the Australian line. Another nice run from Josh Adams. I don't think the Box will win, unfortunately. Says Kawasi in the Box to win 36-24. No New Zealand today, says James. And also, what do you think of the 50-22? Is it good for rugby? I believe the reasoning behind bringing it in initially was to try and create more space or try and create more line break opportunities for teams because they'd have more players back. But I don't think it's quite actually done that for their sides. I mean, it's a new dynamic. We've seen it in league for quite a while with 40-20. I'm still not sure on it, but if I had to pick, this is going to be close to a line out. Or not a line out, sorry, a try. Rio Dyer! He's reached out. There might be a try. We might have to come back to that in a very short moment. They're only a couple minutes out. It's going to be slapped down. This could be a yellow card here against the Wallabies. A bit of dirty tactics, but now around the side, Gareth Anscombe. Only 5 meters out from the line. That was a brilliant line break, though, from Rio Dyer. Went down the wing. Now around the side, Alex Cuthbert. Doesn't find the offload he was considering. Still available. Hardy goes back one more. I feel like even after 15 phases, they may still go back for that yellow card. Now Dylan Lewis steps as well. They've got a brand new advantage for offside. Hardy goes across. Great attack and run from Talupe Faletau. Crashes hard at Alatoa. Now Hardy short ball. Gives it to Jack Morgan. Creeping forward, only a meter out from the line now. Hardy goes round the side. He doesn't get there. But they will be going back for this penalty. But yeah, for me, one of the rules that shouldn't have changed is that, like, bringing in the goal line dropout. I feel like if an attacking team is 5 meters out from the line and then they end up getting held up, it shouldn't be a goal line dropout forcing them back to halfway. It should still be that 5 meter scrum. I feel like that is one rule I'd like to see come back if they were to change it right. They think that Jake Gordon may have really cynically infringed here. Yeah. His foot's in front of the back foot, so he's in an offside position, slaps that ball down. They're trying to say whether or not it's in the tackle or not. For me, they say it's in the tackle. So he's never onside. He's going to be going to the bin for 10 minutes. So the question is whether or not... Okay, James Slipper, he was complaining about something else, and the referee was like, no, we're not looking at that. It's actually something else that he's done. But Jake Gordon going to the bin for 10 minutes, although it's not a penalty try, which is pretty massive because the thing is, with that one, it does make you interested because some of the time it does get given as a yellow card and a penalty try. Yet in this case, it's just a yellow card rather than the penalty try. So it's interesting the different ways that it is looked at, but it is going to be a scrum feed now for Wales. They've decided that they want to go attacking here, but Rio Dyer received that nice pass down the wing, steamrolled himself almost to the line, tried to reach out. Jake Gordon, he wasn't back completely the way that he needed to, and Wales should have had a penalty try there, says Hershey. Yeah, so I'm wondering what the difference is between that one and some that we've seen in the past. I guess because they said it was in the process of making the tackle, but it's still the yellow. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one to know. Now the scrum feed. Thing is, Wales theoretically should still be able to score themselves a try here anyway. That's an early push from the Australians. So it is still going to be another scrum feed for Wales here. But anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We have got another game coming up for the second half relatively soon. Or another game coming up after the second half, I should say. South Africa versus England. Big game, a World Cup final rematch. And last week, it's kind of cool, other than the fact that England didn't quite beat the All Blacks. Because if England had beaten the All Blacks, then it would have felt quite funny because it would have been both sides coming off wins, heading into what could have almost been considered as a mini World Cup final again. So I guess we'll call the English draw up against the Kiwis a win. And they won their semi-final, so now they're through to the final. Take on the Springboks. It's going to be a good game. Kwasi, only 2 games today, says Mickey D, and also says Mick. And also, once again, the man of the match will be the officials, says Chris. And there. Now, Wales still got an opportunity, though. They've got the man advantage. Only 5 meters out from the line. If they can get it right here and get Talupe Faletau steamrolling off the back, I think he's going to be a hard man to stop. In fact, they may even consider Rio Dyer's side here. Talupe Faletau left-hand side off the back, maybe? Could be an option. Kieran Hardy. About to feed the ball in. Once again, Australia pushing early. That's going to be another penalty to Wales. And they will be going for another scrum, I would think. Says they are keeping that pressure well and truly on. And it looked like Dylan Lewis, Ken Owens, they didn't even look behind them. They knew they were going again. And thanks, Mickey, says Kwasi. And also, we'll get there. Hi, says Tene. And there I was like, welcome in. Hope you are doing well. Go on, Aussie. Show them, says homie Victor. In there, hopefully I said that correctly. 20 seconds left in the first half in Australia. If they can get themselves a penalty here, I believe they would just take the quick tap and kick it into touch. Go into halftime 7-0 down. They wouldn't mind that too much, or 7 points down, I should say. Wales, if they can score now, increases that deficit just a little bit more. Now the ball, it's moving too much. It's another penalty to Wales. Once again, angling in the front row of Australia. I believe they'll go for another scrum here. And the question now becomes, how many scrum penalties can Australia give away just in front of their own line before they do get that warning? And All Blacks are scared to play Ireland now, says James. I don't know about scared. I think the better word is excited. Because last series didn't go too well. And now I think the All Blacks, I mean, don't get me wrong, they've still got a lot of improvement to make if they didn't want to make it a clean performance like the first match up against the Irish. But they still are one of those sides, the All Blacks, that if they lose a game, they want to try and make the most of the next opportunity. Now, they didn't do that up against England. Everyone's been waiting 2 years to see them play off against the English, and they blew that big lead, making it a 25-25 draw. But I think a lot of Kiwis excited to get their next opportunity. And the Irish, another penalty. Double blow of the whistle here. Okay, now Matthew Carley has to have a bit of a warning to the Australian front row because that is 3 in a row right in front of it. Next one's going to be a yellow card. Has been said. They need to be higher. There's the comment there. And also can't wait tomorrow. I'm going to watch the Lions versus Dragons game at the stadium. Says it Denny there. And also a bit like World Cup football. Then some of the officials have been dire. As well, says Mick Brown. It's been some interesting calls. I think that's the thing. Unfortunately, no matter what international competition you find yourself watching, or no matter what sport you find yourself watching, it seems to be more of, the refereeing is the main talking point of a lot of these games. And it's a shame in a way because there's so much talent out there on the field, yet a lot of people can't see past some of the decisions, if that makes sense. Oh, they've gone there short side, like I mentioned, but it's going to be just held up there. Great work by the Aussies. Held up in the half, and the Wallabies survive the last onslaught by the Welsh. I can't believe Japan won German in there, says Ateni. And also, rugby in Australia is a mess, or is in a mess, with too much money spent on the hangers, and the boardroom, says Chris. And I don't feel comfortable for the Box to win today. Reason is there's some new players in the squad. I'm hoping for a win, says Johnny Douglas. And also, I hope you don't mind, I'm listening to the rugby on your channel. I'm watching the World Cup on my telly, says Sided. No worries at all, mate. And that's the thing. There's so much sport on. I believe at the moment it's Denmark versus France, isn't it? In the World Cup. That's a massive game. You've got to be watching that one as well. It's going to be a great one. An important game for both of the sides, we would think. I guess whoever wins that confirms their spot in the round of 16, don't they? If I'm not wrong. Now, halftime in this contest, 20 points to 13. Should mention we have got 40 more minutes of action in this game than we are jumping almost straight over to our next live stream. I believe it would be with the matchup between England and South Africa. It's going to be an absolute cracker of a game. Going to be starting our commentary from 6:15 a.m. and we will be heading straight through to about 8:30. Wales robbed to 7 points and no yellow. Three infringements in the scrum. Bad ref, says Hershey in there. Yeah, it seemed like the warning was a little bit late for the Australians. Just because giving away 3 scrum penalties right in front of your own line, you would have thought maybe second one you give away, then the third one's a yellow, but it seemed like it wasn't how Matthew Carley saw it. Water. Got to be good for anyone who has got an opportunity at halftime. Be sure to grab yourself a nice beverage and maybe a snack or something. We've got a long day ahead of us. In terms of the rugby, I will actually mention Dubai Sevens next week, 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. No, that's not right. 6 p.m. to 5 a.m., I believe, is the hours that we're going to be covering for those ones on halftime. Leinster 21 to the Scottish 0. And also, what has been the half, or what has the first half been like so far? It's been a fast-paced game. It's actually been a nice change from what we saw last week for Ireland versus Australia's first half, just because that game started very slow, whereas the Wallabies, even though they're down at the moment, they still seem to be finding themselves with quite a bit of go forward at times throughout this game, and they don't seem like they are lacking intent, which is exactly what you want to be seeing throughout the match as well. I'm just going to have a quick look and see the URC in terms of, is there a fixture tomorrow taking place between the Lions and Glasgow? Is that the one? No, not Glasgow. The Lions and someone for a Monday night fixture, because I know so far we have seen 2 South African sides play. Yeah, tomorrow it is going to be the Lions versus the Dragons and Sharks versus Cardiff as the other matchup that has taken place. Do you think the ref made the right call with the continual infringements by the Wallabies scrum? The Wallabies used their infringements to kill time. Says Kevin, I think I would have had it the 2 scrum infringements, get the warning, and then the third is the card, but instead they did go the 3, get the warning, and then the 4th would have been the card. And there are too many minor offences that really don't deserve the sin, but a better idea would be give a 5-point penalty goal, says Chris in there. And also, so Wallabies gain momentum, you say, and cited. I'd say that they're not out of it yet at this stage. And also, Homie has said it is currently 6 p.m. in South Africa, and South Africa versus England, 7:15. Says Homie there as well. Yeah, it's a big game. It's not too far away. And it's a hard one to pick who's going to win it, to be honest. The Sharks, says James. And there's, Sharks versus Cardiff. That's going to be a good game. Hopefully, I mean, if we're going to cover any of the URC games, it would probably be that one on the channel, because I believe the plan will be after these 2 live streams, I think I'm going to be staying up for the day. And then from there, I'll probably end up going to bed at maybe like 5 p.m. tonight. I say that, but I won't. I'll probably go to bed at like 10 p.m. or so, wake up at 5:10. No, I'll have to wake up before that. Wake up at about 4:30 for that Sharks versus Cardiff live stream. And then after that, go to work on Monday morning. And also the South Africa will hammer England 30 points to 14. No load shedding for me today, so really excited to watch all the sports as I can, says Cited. So yeah, be sure to make the most of it, I believe. I mean, we've got rugby, we've got football, we've also got, I think is there cricket going on somewhere in the world? No, there's actually not. India versus New Zealand, that's taking place in 9 hours' time. I'm surprised we haven't got any, I guess you could say, not Northern Hemisphere cricket, but anywhere with a different time zone, such as playing in Pakistan and where along those lines. I think they've got a bit more of a rest after the T20 World Cup, though, whereas pretty much New Zealand and India, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, all of those sides just jumped straight back into it. Same could be said about England and Australia. They decided they wanted to play an ODI series straight after that World Cup. But yeah, in 3 days' time, Australia versus West Indies, there's going to be a test match taking place between the 2 sides, and we are hopefully going to be covering some of that on the channel as well. We're going to have to work out the copyright side of things. I know that that man would have left again if he had the opportunity, but yeah, I have to really work out what live streams are a risk to getting copyright struck, because it's too easy for random channels to copyright strike now, I've found, on YouTube. And with the fact that it takes 10 days to get the channel back up and running after they've done it, that's a long time. But we're working on it. I think we're probably going to have to talk with YouTube at some stage as well and just say, look, we've had the same channel try and strike us down about 4 times now. Can we sort them out, please? They are just showing there Wales and the breakdown Oh, they're actually saying that Wales would put a men in the breakdown to try and force the Australians to neck roll them. I think. Was that what he was saying? Surely not. Nice work over the ball for Jack Morgan. I want one of those big screens that you can put arrows on, though. You know, one of those, like, I've only got a little drawing board, and I have no idea where it is. But, like, I can only draw little pictures, and I'm not the best at drawing, but I love one of those ones that you can draw random arrows. He's drawn that arrow straight into that man's butt. Maybe I don't want one of those things. Do let me know, ladies and gentlemen. Second half of this game just around the corner. Who do you think will be able to walk away with the win for the end of the November internationals? Could it be a Welsh home victory, or will the Australians be able to fire back, find themselves a very nice victory coming up? And Wales were bloody good. That first half, to be fair, says Easy Aussie, or Easy Ollie, I should say. Yeah, they had a good first half in that game. I believe Jack Morgan was my pick of the players out there on the field. If I had to pick another player, I'd probably go with Joe Hawkins, to be honest. He was also very solid alongside Talupe Faletau. Then for the Australians, if I had to pick just one player, I would say probably I said his name wrong. I try and say it slightly differently because I got it wrong last time and I want to try and get it right, but that was definitely not right. He was pretty solid. Only touched the ball twice, though. Langy Gleeson for Australia, I would say, is the pick of the players. And Joe Smith and the Leinster 2011-2012 European Cup winning team on the field in RDS, says Richard in the chat there as well. Speaking of the Champions Cup, we're actually going to have a quick look here, see when it's taking place. Kieran Hardy's passing is incredibly clean, says Easy Ollie. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to see Thomas Williams back out on the field, unfortunately, due to his injury. Okay, Drew Mitchell currently saying that Australia are struggling with communication, I think is the gist of that one. And also, what do you think of Wayne Pivac since he took over for Wales? He's cited. I think he, like a lot of other international coaches, like a lot of these guys have their job on the line each and every time that they go out there to play. Like we were mentioning for New Zealand versus England, it was kind of that case of whoever lost that game, more than likely Scott Robinson was probably going to be able to take their spot. But they didn't because it was a draw. So it kind of took away that aspect of the game, I guess you could say. And 2 weeks from now, says Richard, as well for the RDS side. But the big thing for me is now that we're only 280 days away from a World Cup, it's really important if you're going to make the coaching change, you make it soon and you make it so that the coach has enough time to try and add his own tactics in. That being said, the international rugby window is closing. The next time we see sides in action, I believe, is in July. So that's a long time to not have any players out there other than, of course, the Six Nations for the Northern Hemisphere. They will be playing in February. But it's going to be one of those ones that's only 3 months away, or in fact, less than 3 months away. You've got to make sure that you get it right with the coaching decision. If you're keeping your coach, stick by him throughout that World Cup. Then afterwards, you've got 4 years to try and reinvent the side. But if you get it wrong and you make the change too late, it can actually cost you majorly heading into a big competition like a World Cup. Black Caps beat India in the first ODI by 7 wickets. Our second match happened at Hamilton. As it raining there, says Coding. So I will have a quick look at the weather radar. I know the weather hasn't been flashing pretty much anywhere in New Zealand at the moment, unfortunately. It says it showers here at the moment. Although I wouldn't know. Haven't stuck my head outside just yet, but we'll go Hamilton, New Zealand. It's looking overcast. It's 100% chance of rain at 1 p.m. and pretty much 90% all the way throughout the rest of the day. So that's not looking too flashing. Going to be a long wait for national teams to get back together, says Sita Canvas. And what date is the Under-20s World Cup next year, says Richard. Oh, that's a very good question, Richard. I will have a quick Google while we are sitting at the halftime gap as well. Now I've got total trust Eddie in 2023. Or trust in Eddie for 2023. We got to see 9 minutes of the plan last week, says Easy Ollie. Although I don't think the plan should be to have the other team go down to 14 players before you start putting the foot down. You know, you got to make sure you do that from the get-go. And I feel like England's gas tank is deep. They'll be able to do that if they get it right. Right, Under-20 World Cup It is taking place. Is it taking place next year? Maybe. In 2022, they said it was going to be taking place. The Summer Series has happened. Right, where's the World Cup for the under-20s? Do they have a... They do have a World Cup, don't they? Under-20 World Cup 2023. They are still taking place, and it is going to be... Okay, they are not going to tell me when it's taking place, but they're just going to say that it is taking place in 2023. That's all I've got at this stage. Where is the under-23? Yeah, it just says it's 2023. And also we have got there, Naked HD, Find Your Dream Girl, fun times. And he is rescheduled for 2023. And also Eddie's just not showing the plan, and he won't to the World Cup quarterfinal. Says Easy Ollie, I should say. I keep on almost saying Easy Aussie, don't I? And also score should be 27, odds 13, and odds down to 13, then says Hershey. And also it's called, he's called Piv No in Wales. Not sure if it's good or bad, as I don't live in South Wales anymore. No chat, says Mick. And also easy to have a plan when the ABs are down a player, says Cooper Cronk. And there's I can't find a date, says Richard. And also Dan Bots, made me spill my tea, says Scrumless. I was playing like that. Would have crushed Georgia, says Hershey. Yeah, that's the thing. They've made a really big improvement in just 1 week. And with that being said, our neighbour, whose name I always say wrong as well, is also a bit of a question mark going into the World Cup. I think for South Africa, the bigger question mark is Rassie going to say something 1 week or 2 weeks out from the World Cup that gets him banned from the whole competition, which is concerning because it's something that could happen. We've seen it in the past. Like, he's got himself banned from these 2 matches, France and South Africa, and then also England and South Africa. Those 2 games he's missing from. But it's more of the case of someone just needs to steal that man's phone and anything that he can go on Twitter for before the World Cup and during the World Cup, give it back to him after, and he can say everything that he wants up against the ref. And that's the thing. Whether it's justified or not, he's not the guy who should be saying it. Like, yes, some of the decisions up against the South African side are bad. Don't get me wrong. They're not great. But you can't have a coach as the player who is calling them out for it. You've got to have someone who's outside of that environment, or else you get yourself into the situation he's in, which is going to be match bans, stadium bans. He might not even be allowed to cross the border into France if he's not careful. And I guess we'll tweet something ridiculous for sure, says Cited there. Yeah, it's all about being strategic with it. And Rassie, for a man who's always got a game plan, I don't know what his is at the moment. It seems to be see how far he can push the boundary, I guess. And also get Elon on speed dial and shadow ban him for the World Cup, says Cited. And also, who do you reckon for Dark Horse for the World Cup, says Harry O'Sullivan. Right, Dark Horse. It's a tricky one because I assume we're talking a team that aren't really expected to make their way through the group stage. Because for me, someone like a Fiji or Georgia might have a good chance of making it out of their group just because of Wales and Australia having their up and down form that they've had. But other teams who could cause an upset, Argentina, a bit of a dark horse. They've had some pretty good games recently. They're a bit 50-50 at times, though, which I think is something that has cost them a bit. Yeah, Argentina, they're a side that are an option as a bit of a dark horse. Italy, if they weren't in a group with France and New Zealand, I'd say have a decent crack of being able to go far in the comp. But unfortunately, just having those 2 big sides does make it very tricky. If South Africa get beat tonight, he won't have a World Cup to worry about, says Richard. And I should mention the second half just about to get back underway. Elon Musk having everyone's favourite Muppet baby hanging from a chandelier, says Scrumless. And also go, Hamish, how bad have Aussie been on the Northern Tour? It's not even funny anymore. Won't be surprised if they don't make it out of their pool at the Rugby World Cup 2023, says Jobo. Yeah, they haven't been that great. But another stat, I know this shouldn't be something to blame it on, but they've got 19 players out with injury for this game. And like last game, I think they lost 7 players. So before that, they had 12 players out. It's quite a tough one to adjust to, saying that at the end of the day, they're professional rugby players. They should be able to adjust accordingly. But yeah, that has made it a little bit trickier for them to find their momentum. And Scotland also has a shout, says cited there. That is a good point. Scotland looking decent at the moment. They're always a side, Scotland, I find, that if this is extremely good form and this is bad form, Scotland always find themselves about here, right in the middle. And they're one of those sides that if they're finding their form at the right time, they could go up. If they're finding their form at the wrong time, they may end up going down, and then it's just a little bit harder to build back up. But yeah, Scotland, decent side as well. Who have they got in their group? I think they've got Ireland and also South Africa, don't they? So that's going to be a tough one to get into. But Ireland normally struggle in World Cup in terms of the qualifying or the playoff games, I should say. And also we have got, I missed one earlier on. Oh no, it was there. I'd say Argentina out of nowhere maybe, says cited. Oh, it looks like Reece Hodge is actually going to be taking on a long kick here, 55 meters or so out. He's decided why not have a crack at the start of the second half. See whether or not he can get it over Muskin, Johannesburg. Thankfully, I was down South Cape Town back mid-70s, says Mick Brown. And there as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this World Cup, probably more than any other World Cup we have had in a long time, mainly because a couple of the other World Cups, like 2019, I wasn't really watching rugby in terms of every single game. Like, I'd watch the big ones, of course. I got to watch that South Africa-England final, the semi-final, New Zealand versus England and their World Cup stages, or their World Cup group matches. Reece Hodge, he's got the distance on it. He struck it so clean, it's hit the post. It was a nice voice break for myself. Now it's gone into touch. It has gone out. And the ref is terrible. No offside, Alan Jones, says Hershey. And as well, but Reece Hodge tried to bring it back round. It's hit the post, probably about 5 meters above of the goalpost. And also, if the Wallabies have a full team to select, then perhaps they have an outside chance, says cited. But yeah, I guess, like I mentioned, it also gives all those opportunities for new players, though, to show themselves, I guess, get a little bit of light on them heading into their next games, try and show that they are the guys who could move into that World Cup and possibly take a squad spot. So it is just around the corner now. Donaldson has to play halfback as a back to Whainga'a. Tackled nicely. And does have to release there for Ken Owens. Now off to the right, Donaldson, of course, going to be playing half due to that yellow card of Jake Gordon. He'll be off the field for another 7 minutes or so. In fact, maybe a little bit less, about 5 minutes now. Tom Robinson, nice run. He did recently come on the field for James Slipper again. Those two have actually already had their switcheroo earlier on in the match, but it was an HIA that was passed by James Slipper. So he has been able to make his way back out there. Now another big run from Fraser McWright. Donaldson going back across Alan Alatol. Wasn't expecting that one. And Owen Jones takes it nicely. Now offload out and Beard knocks the ball on. We're going back for the initial knock on against the Australians. And Wales will now have themselves the feed. Like they're saying, they aren't considering that wide option for the Australians with Jake Gordon missing from this contest. Makes sense. They don't want to take too many risks here. I want to still make sure they aren't making too many early mistakes. But Adam Beard, this will be an interesting scrum because if Wales get themselves a scrum penalty, it isn't 5 meters out from the line, but it would still be maybe the last warning again for the Australians at scrum time. So I believe they would be taking it every day that they can. Started all the last 16 tests for Wales. Adam Beard there, he's certainly been slotting into that lock jersey very nicely. And I feel like that's the thing. Once Alan Wynne-Jones gives up that kit, you've got a big gap at lock. And Adam Beard, he seems to be that consistent option for 4. Question is, who would they have at number 5 if Alan Wynne-Jones did end up going away? Big push from the Australians. Wales fighting back. They get themselves the penalty. Double blow the whistle. Oh, Matthew Carley is going to give the yellow card here. He's a man of his word, Tom Robinson. He's only just got out on the field, and he is now going to be going back off it. That is another yellow card. The Wallabies down to 13 players, just like the points on the board that they have been able to score so far. And try Glasgow, says Richard. And is there a case for too many domestic games being played throughout this year that hampers the international game? I'm seeing this affect most international sports this year, says cited. It's a tricky one because, of course, everyone always says they want to see as much rugby as physically possible, but then sometimes, we see the bodies of the players just starting to break down a little bit as more and more time passes. Who is this? This is actually going to be the number 18. Who is that? He's actually a player who I'm going to have to look at the team sheets to see. For the Australians, it is... it's Samisi Talakai. Okay, never mind. I thought it was a player I'd never seen before. Now, Sinbin's getting pretty full for the Aussies. They need to make sure that they don't get a third seat, and no problem getting in. How is the spammer dealt with so quickly on here, says James. We've got very good moderators. Pretty much, they will probably, if we don't block the spammer when they do, they would send 50 messages about, forget about Tinder and find your love here and whatnot. So they're very quick, our moderators. They just go, see you later. They do need a pay rise. Now, Wales going to be going through. I feel like now I'm going to get a question of, do your moderators get paid? Can I please be a moderator? That will be one that we get soon. Now going back across, Wales using their backline, trying to make the most of the two-man advantage. Now Ken Owens passes off now to Rio Dyer, driven backwards in the tackle by Leon Ikitau. Forces the error, but they're going back for the penalty in favour of Wales. Now, if you're Wales, you go for a scrum here as well. Just because, you might as well. Just keep on going. Yellow, it's about blooming time. Says, here's you there, and thanks for keeping us updated, Richard. Says it was scrum last in New Zealand and France. I went to play Ireland, South Africa, right, Hamish, assuming they make the quarterfinals at the Rugby World Cup 2023. They will. Now, I've got a video idea that I actually thought of last night while I was asleep, which is interesting because normally, how sometimes when you have dreams, you can't remember them. I'm one of those people who has like 3 or 4 dreams a night and remember each and every one of them. So I actually get a lot of my good video ideas from dreams. It probably explains a lot when I try and make the videos happen during the day and I'm like, this isn't as good as the dream was. Now they do go for the line out here, Wales. 10 metres out from the line. Trying to stop the roll and momentum. It's just going too quick. The Welsh running over the line. And it's the try there. It's just punched the ground. Don't break your hands, son. It's going to be Jack Morgan again, who has been able to score another try in this contest. And also, thanks to the compliments, Hamish and all, says scrum last there. So that is going to make the score 25 points to 13 in favour of the Welsh. Jack Morgan, he's on song for a hat-trick here, possibly. Morning, Hamish. Over there, how are you, mate? You're all cool running cats and dogs here in Devs, says Birdie V. Doing very well, thank you, mate. It was raining heavily earlier on today, which is why I didn't actually get to play cricket. Unfortunately, we got down to the ground and then it was just bucketing and they were like, that's not happening. We got a toss in, though. Flip of the coin, I should actually call it, because some people might think that's a different statement. But yeah, we got the toss in. Oh, I just said it again. We got the coin toss in. We won the toss. We were going to be batting first, so I had to almost put some pads on, getting ready to go out there, and then they're like, nah, game's off. And man, that maul just destroying us, says Hershey. And hey, howdy, hey, brother, how you do, says Scrum last. There's a 48 minutes through. Jake Gordon back out onto the field, but these yellow cards, they are costly for the Australians here. To end up with so many players off the field at one time just shows discipline needs to be a little bit better from the Australians in the near future. But now it is going to be another kick from the halfway line. Ready to go here. Kicked off by, I believe that's Tom Wright. It's getting us underway. Nicely taken by Adam Beard. And now that rolling maul starts again for Wales. Geez, when they get those legs driving, it's another advantage here against the Australians. They just get themselves penalised pretty much just back to back to back to back at this point. Still rolling. It's up to halfway. It has gone 25 metres there. That rolling maul. Hardy goes across to Anscombe, now linking up in the midfield and space only up on the outside for Wales. George North tackle well low by Reece Hodge. Back across there, Alwyn Jones, ball across to Anscombe. Goes out to Talupe Falata, ball on the outside to Dyer. He looks close to the touch line and he's put out. Good defence there, and we had some hail and thunderstorms in Pretoria, but the Bulls won 43 points to 26. Keep at it, Wales, says McBrown. And I'm still relatively new to rugby compared to y'all, but I need to know, is this, or if this is not just me, do you ever just get so happy that your team scored that you start crying? Because that's me. Please tell me if it's not me. Or it's not just me, says Scrum Less. And there as well. It's a good question. I mean, as you know, for myself, I show very little emotion. All right, I'm a dead soul behind the screen. But more likely, I'm just neutral, so it makes it easier to stay balanced. But yeah, I feel like that's the thing. In emotional moments in sport, I feel like there's been a few over the recent 12 months or so for certain sides. Italy winning the first game up against Australia ever, that would have brought the tears on for a lot of Italians. Argentina beating the All Blacks, massive in that game. Try Glasgow disallowed. I have no clue why, something to do with no contact from the ball. Never saw it before, says Richard there. And I've got no worries, says Betty V. And also we've got the Ospreys, my birth city, says Mick. Now the line out for Wales once again, going to keep applying this pressure. If you allow a team you support to make you cry, it's a problem. It's only sport. Says, but that's the thing. Sometimes it's passion. And sometimes passion is a great thing. We see players out there on the field crying after getting themselves a victory. And I think that's just putting their heart and soul out there on the park for their country. Now going back across there, going to be a nice run from Dan Hawkins. This is going to be another advantage now for Wales. 15 metres out. Chasing this one. Cuthbert. One-handed take. Not quite opening up for him. Does get fourth down. I'm saying Bok by 5. Amish, what's your score predictor for the Bok versus England? Oh, it's a tricky one. I think either side by 5 or less. Same as what I said for this game, although Australia making that hard to believe that will still be the case with the amount that they have given away in terms of penalties throughout the last little while. They're making this one a lot more one-sided in favour of the Welsh. Okay, Matthew Carley. I'm going to chat there with Kieran Hardy. What do they want? Do they want the 3 or the 7? I think they want to go for that rolling Morgan because it was absolutely brilliant before for the Welsh. And I think Pavak is having a little bit of a word in the air there. I've just been recovering really bad depression for about 6 years now, brother. Sometimes I just disappear for a bit because I need to recharge my batteries, but I'm getting better, says Scrumless. And hopefully you do continue to get better as well, Scrumless. And also Box plan to be more expansive, supposedly. We'll see if they do it at kickoff, says Cited. See, that's the thing. Throughout the week we have heard Springboks have got some new, they've got some new legs out there on the field, so they've got a couple new tactics accordingly. And I hope that we get to see that really in effect up against the English. And it would be terrific to see the Springboks play like they did up against Italy, up against the English. See some really nice backline movements. Try and get the English on the back foot. We saw it in the World Cup that they've got the capabilities of doing so. It's a shame that Chislin Colby's not playing in this game, I'm sure, for a lot of Springbok supporters. They would have loved to see him run straight at Owen Farrell again. 10 metres out from the line here. Wales once again going to be crashing. Alwyn Jones tackled by Reece Hodge. Going off Dylan Lewis now with a bit of a spin. 2-man tackle made on him. Straight over the ball. He's being told to get out of there, Pete Samu. He has just managed to do so. More because he got cleaned out. Now, playing half will be Kieran Hardy. Goes off to Ken Owens. Wales are close here again with another opportunity. Trying to stretch out. Not quite able to. Now going off to the left-hand side. The cut pass. And it will be Rio Dyer who gets himself the try. And also delighted to hear you coping better, Katie. I know he is not playing. And there says it was there from Richard. But what a try for Wales. Once again, they are now finding themselves on a bit of a steamrolling situation here. And Bok's pretty good. Saw them back in mid to late 70s. Newlands 4 miles from where I live, South Africa. I was just, we all here for you. If you want to chat, I'm here for you. Glad to get a bit of yang in there. Remember, you're awesome. Says Birdie V. And there as well, I'm sure a lot of people can second that as well, including myself. Gareth Thomas, nice run at the line. The skip pass from Anscombe. It's a thing of beauty. I almost said of bluety, but I'm not too sure what bluety is. Is that like the Smurf when they're beautiful? A Smurf's beautiful? Is that a weird thing to say? I don't know. I don't find them beautiful. Gargavel is he's the geezer who wants to catch the Smurfs, isn't he? And also, you're the best, brother. Thank you for your support. Y'all are such a fan, says Scrumless. Ben Donaldson looks like he's trying to G up his Wallabies side here. It's just not quite going well for them in the second half, though. Wales are scoring for fun. Oh, we got another 69xx6 live. What did I see? This is going to sound like a weird statement, but I saw the number 69 the other day. for something else other than that. Was it a penguin enclosure? Me and George, we had a weird week. We went down and just looked at some penguins. Like in Timaru. It was just up the road. And he deserved that try. He's been having a good game. He has indeed. And good lordy lord, says Scrumless. And there was, but yeah, we went and saw the penguins. Went up to 102 in terms of where they live in the rocks, which is quite interesting. Fun fact. Yeah, currently kick going over. 34 points to 13. 53 minutes through. Wales are putting on the performance that a lot of people wanted to see last week. But those Georgian forwards make it extremely tough to be able to do so. Felipe Faletau now trying to skip his way through. So the ball's going to be available there. Back across, Ken Owens. Another nice carry forward. He's asking for the penalty there. I don't think he's going to have much success, though, in asking for it. I'll take McDermott. He's come on the field for Jake Gordon, so another change that the Wallabies probably needed to make. You should come over to Ireland next summer for a few weeks, Katie, says Richard. And there's our now going to the short side. Nice fem from Tom Wright. 40 metres out for the line now for the Wallabies, and this is probably the best attacking opportunity of the half. Nice quick hands from Jed Holloway. Out the back line it goes. Leonard Cattell now looking to link up with the man on the outside, but he's tackled well by Hawkins. McDermott once again goes quickly. Now Ned Hannigan. Another player made his way off the field. Oh, this looks like an injury for Gareth Anscombe, and it doesn't look like a great one. It looks like maybe a shoulder injury there, and goodness gracious, what's going on, Aussies? And yeah, I was surprised too. But new Georgia strong, says Mac Brown. Now that ball's gone high, nicely taken. Inside of the 22 by Kieran Hardy, and they're going to be going back to check on it. It's about time Wales showed a ruthless streak. There's still time left in the game. Good to see, says Stuart Lee. And also, hey, Hamish, brother, you are the main legend here. Thank you for the Kiwi Lad channel and every stream. Thank you, brother. You are awesome, says Birdie V. And so I do appreciate that a lot, mate. And I should mention, next Sunday, I believe, fingers crossed, as long as plans don't change, we should be filming a Kiwi Lads podcast, a one-off, or maybe an annual thing. Hopefully we can make it annual, but it will be myself, George, Daniel, and Isaac, all four of us, hopefully all in the same spot at once. It's very hard to organize. I think we've only got like a 2-hour window where we're all available. This looks like Anscombe, maybe dislocated shoulder. I think they're probably going to get the green whistle out very soon so that he can end up having some antibiotics and end up feeling a little bit giddy so that they can take him off the field. And also Penguin Adventures, and you didn't film it, says Scrumlass. Yeah, we didn't actually. Well, we took some photos. My camera at nighttime is not the best overall. I'm going to find a picture. While we've got this injury stoppage, I feel like it's the perfect opportunity to do so. Yeah, we took a lot of pictures of the Penguins. George had his chocolate mousse, as he always would. We'll zoom in on that a little bit. There you go, there's George. Now, he had a green shirt on. It's going to be a bit blurry. George pointing to a penguin with his chocolate mousse. There you go. And also, fishnet single and ready to mingle. I have to check that out later. And also, nice. End of year special. Well done, Wales. Looks like I got my prediction totally wrong. Glad I didn't put any money on it, says Brian. It looks like now Anscombe making his way off the field with that shoulder injury. Hopefully nothing too serious. A lot of players getting injured at the end of these internationals. But yeah, they did give him the green whistle, which means that man's in quite a bit of pain. I would assume a dislocated shoulder shouldn't be out for too long there for Anscombe. Also, I'd love to go to Ireland one day. My family has some ancestral land in Cork, or County Cork. I'd love to go see it. I used to live in Kendal in the Lake District of England too. I miss it. Let's go, let's see, George. But something we are considering. I guess this is a question for you guys. Since this one, because we're at such a random hour of the night, I guess it's going to be more of the regulars who are on the stream as well. Is a weekly December vlog something you guys want to see? We've been getting up to quite a bit off stream in terms of getting out and about, going on a few adventures. Pete Sama with a bit of a grubber. Is a weekly vlog in December something you guys do want to see? Do let me know. So we'd end up doing probably 4 or 5 weekly vlogs throughout it, I guess. You'd have one on about December 7th, and then from there, a little bit later. And also, this is a penguin, or is this a penguin emoji? It is indeed. And also, hey guys, smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe to the Kiwi Lad channel, says Booty V. And the English pack are awesome. So evens there. If the Box get to the English 9-10 and don't kick to Stewart, their backs might squeeze a win. Other than that, the English ought to win, says Tim Rogers. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game for both sides. And that kicking game, they need to make sure, like you mentioned, don't kick it at Freddie Stewart, because that man is absolutely brilliant under a high ball. But that might be something they try and test out. They'll wait to see whether or not they can force that mistake. They've got Makazole Mapimpi, who'll be chasing after it hard. Also, alongside that, you've got out on the other wing, Kurtley Aroninsa. It's been looking pretty good recently. Speaking of looking good, the Wallabies, they've got themselves a scrum advantage. They were close to going over the line there. That's, tell you what, if Talupe Faletau didn't jump on that, that could have been a try for Australia there. And can the Wallabies come back to get a draw at least, says Neo de la Cruz. It's going to be tough. 24 minutes on the clock. They're in a good position on the field, though, and doesn't look like a penguin on me expensive Apple devices, says Scrumless. Yeah, the camera's not the best in the dark. We'll have to go visit them during the day, I think. Might be another venture we could go for. And also, we have got there, the Lake District went a few times. Canistasian, that's a hard one to say, isn't it? And England's kickers are far more superior for this one, says Willie. Yeah, they don't actually really, I guess, know. In terms of South Africa, I believe they're going Faf de Klerk, aren't they, as their kicking option. And then maybe you go with Mani Labok when he comes off the bench. It's an interesting one. Ever since they've decided that Damien Williams is not their kicker, it's really caused some big problems, I guess you could say, in terms of just who's going to be kicking. Because Cheslin Colby, he's a decent kicker, but I don't know if he's going to be their full-time kicker going forward. That's a nice backline movement. Now down the wing. Noah Guanita-Wasi may have just kept himself in the field of play there. That might be a try down the left-hand side for the Australians. Yep, they're claiming it. Although they want to go upstairs too and check it. 4 tries to Leinster, says Richard. And also, Soz, not correct spelling. Maybe Georgia beat Australia next year, says Boulders and Steel. That is why Pool C for me on the Rugby World Cup is the one to watch. Or did he keep himself in the field of play? Sure did. And Australia get themselves a try back now in this contest. Could the late comeback be on? And also England looked off form against New Zealand. South Africa will beat them if they play like that again, says Hershey. And then also the Wallabies are good at comebacks, but I hope Wales can carry on playing well. If they lose from this position, it's goodbye Pivak, I would say, says Stuart Lee. Yeah, he might be looking for another job at the end of this one if it did end up going that way. But currently, ladies and gentlemen, we are only 45 minutes away from the kickoff of England versus South Africa. That is going to be an absolutely tremendous game. The reason I mention it is we are covering it on the Kiwi Lads channel as well. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's hugely appreciated, guys, all being here. It is currently 5:43 a.m. here in New Zealand. It's a late night game, but it's a game you cannot miss with the fact that these two sides are going to be doing battle out there on the park. And this game looking like it could get a little bit closer by the end of it as well. No Olorosio is on the field, but I don't believe he will be doing the kicking. Oh, no, he will. Okay, so he will be on for Donaldson. Also, I saw that they did make the sub for Laufaiga'a. He's off the field. And also we have got there, speaking of that one, WF is up with Munster. Are they okay? It's weird, isn't it? Because they started so badly, but then they fired back and got themselves into that position of being able to, I guess, beat South Africa A, which was a huge win for them. But then now they're kind of back into that other situation. Oh, the referee's looking closely at the clock here. Wait, what are we checking now? They want to check something, I think. They've turned the time off. It goes backwards first off the knee, then it goes backwards. That was weird. They were going to go upstairs and check something, even though they had already gone upstairs and checked something else. But it is going to be Noah Correa. Oh, sorry. It's going to be Noah Lucio who's got the kick. And Aaron has said that Australia will win. I bet Cunner is losing his flipping mind. Says Australia's more than likely, yeah. If that's even better. Well, whenever you make it over, let me know and I'll book it. Glen Eagle Hotel and meet you. And also we've got, I'm speechless. How Wales put 34 points up on Australia. Their kickers missed as well. And they are awful, says Connor. Although they've played pretty well in this game, Wales. They've had a man advantage at times and just got back from work. What's the schedule? Are you doing the box? What time, says Roger? So we are going to be starting that game at 6:15 a.m. New Zealand time. So 30 minutes time when we are going to be starting our live stream for that fixture. So we got 22 minutes left of this game. By the time that it does finish with all of the, I guess, the start and stoppage and whatnot in there, we will be going into, that Springboks versus England game. 15 minutes before kickoff. That will give us plenty of time to break down the two sides, get hyped up, play a couple South African national anthems. Can't guarantee that because I know that people get driven insane by my guitar playing. Nicely taken by Tom Wright inside of the 22 for the Australians. They still find themselves 16 points down currently, which is 2 converted tries and a penalty that they would need to get in the next 21 minutes. But now Tate McDermott going to be putting up the box kick. It's Lachlan Lonergan out there on the field. Helping him out. Charge down. Adam Beard almost cleans up. But Tate McDermott, he took too long to kick that one. He did end up going for the kicking attempt almost, then decided to pull out of it, ran to the side a little bit, and then decided to kick it. And Adam Beard was all over him. And South Africa should win. England not great, says Richard English. And then also England will have a bit of confidence going into this game since coming back from certain death by the AB's CS-sided canvas. Yeah, they'll feel good about this game up against the Springboks. And Eddie Jones, he has said all week he thinks they're going to win it. And I hope it's a close game between the two sides. Even if one side does get the win in the end, I still don't know who it's going to be, but I hope it's close. And geez, these new rules of the FIFA World Cup, 8 minutes additional time, it's insane. Yeah, I saw some huge amounts of those extra times. I believe Saudi Arabia, Argentina, they played about 13 extra minutes. They were supposed to only play 9, but then there was also an injury. It's going to be an advantage, knock on against Wales. Starting to see a few more handling errors for the Welsh in the last 5 to 10 minutes, which is something that will concern them a bit. It seems like Australia's bench have really found themselves gelled a little bit quicker here. Some deep breaths being taken, though, by Jed Holloway. He's been working hard out there on the field for the Australians. Gets a pat on the back from Ned Hannigan for his efforts so far. Whoa, with the colour of that, it kind of looks like I'm drinking some sort of like syrup or like Coke or something. That was loud. It's a problem with the front tooth gap. You always make noise when you end up getting to the bubble stage. Here it brings the average half to about 55 minutes, says cited there. Yeah, so it is making football longer and longer. So kicking behind from Len Ikatel, looking for the 50-22. It sits up nicely for Josh Adams, though, who sends down torpedo kick. It's gone out on the full. Big mistake there from Adams, and now it gives Australia another opportunity. Try and fight back from the death. I'm actually going to have a quick look and see what the TAB odds are for this game, because I feel Australia a moment ago would have been about $26 underdogs. I would say now with these little mistakes starting to creep in from the Welsh, you're probably looking at something a little bit closer. Maybe Australia $10 underdogs would be my guess. Now, it's nicely thrown in by Lachlan Lonergan. Lolesio. Irregarded is the comment from Matthew Carley there. So I think they were asking for a knock-on. That one certainly was a knock-on. Okay, Australia, $18 underdogs up against Wales here to be able to go on and get themselves the victory. They're going back for the initial knock-on, though. There's 18 minutes left. Surely Wales don't concede 17 points in that time, do they? And as their UFC on tonight, says Richard. I'll have a quick look. I don't actually know. I assume there would be. I think they've been going week in, week out lately, haven't they? UFC, no. Okay, they don't have it. Oh, I've just seen the next fight card, though. 4th of December, Stephen Thompson, Wonderboy, taking on Kevin Holland, the man who talks a lot. It's going to be a good one to watch. Rio Dyer. He's had a very good game so far for the Welsh. I haven't watched the FIFA World Cup since 2006. Zindane blew it for France and gave the game away to Italy, says Scrumlass. And there's also some of the Hemisphere teams don't appear to have things covered with the tactical kicking compared to the Northern Hemisphere teams, says cited. Now, Hardy going to be straight away advantage to Wales, right? You would think that they're probably only one more scrum penalty away from Australia getting another yellow card at scrum times. Now, Josh Adams tries to go through, does the kick in behind. It's going to be Tom Wright trying to clean this one up. That ball's curling though, and Tom Wright just had to slide into touch. There was not really any room from, I agree. We have relied on defence in the same way as if defence coach Edwards was still around. We need to adopt our game for more go forward and the forwards contact area then wide. And now manager of Real Madrid, says Mick, and also, that's one reason why people probably shouldn't make your mum jokes, says Colas, for that famous headbutt as well. But now Ken Owens, line out throw, 5 metres out from the line, a brilliant opportunity for Wales. Now, if Australia's odds were $18, if Wales score now, they will certainly go a little bit higher than that. But now the the line out was successful. Jack Morgan, 2 metres out from the line, looking for his hat-trick. That ball's going to be juggled by the Welsh. They've said it's gone backwards. Pete Samu has done well to be able to just jump pretty much straight over the top of that breakdown and make the tackle. Looking to go around the side now. Adam Beard crawling. Stuck underneath the breakdown. Robertson works his way to the side. Ken Owens now gets close. We'll go back. There was a knock-on against the Welsh. So that is going to be Australia, who have now got themselves the knock-on and the scrum here. Yeah, big knock-on. I don't know how they missed that one. The original decision. It could have almost been an offside one as well. I see that also on that fight card. Brian Barberena is going up against Javier Dos Anjos as well. RDS. Hey, the RDS. Oh, no, it's not quite RDS. Sorry, it's RDA, isn't it? I got all excited because I thought his name was the same as the stadium, but it was not. Also, Taito Avasa on that card. That's a big card. Nico Price on the prelims. Clay Guida's still fighting against Scott Holzman. I'm watching that card for sure. Will you be commentating on Tyson Fury against Derek Chisora? Have I said that correctly? I might have said his name slightly wrong. When is that taking place, Boulders and Steel? Because I'll be honest, I don't know much about Derek, as you can tell by the fact that I mispronounced his last name. Yeah, exactly, Katie. To me, need for that whatsoever, says Richard. I say Ken Owens now going off this field. 15 minutes left. Just hope doesn't deflect from our poor displays against New Zealand and Georgia, says Saturday player. Yeah. It's one of those ones, isn't it, that with winning the last game, if they win it comfortably, everyone will go like, geez, decent overall, decent November international tour. But remembering they've only had one other win, and that was their game up against, who did Wales beat? They beat someone in their second game, didn't they? I'm actually going to have a quick look here. That's England. They ended up beating Argentina 20 points to 13. On the 3rd of December, says Boulders and Steel. Oh, that's not a lot of time to learn about them, is it? Is it on DAZN or is it on a different one? Because I do have DAZN. So I didn't have to pay for a pay-per-view last time, I don't think. Oh, interception. But unfortunately, the feet just gave out on Pete Samu. He was almost able to run straight through the line. Now, kicked him behind Len Akatel. Partially charged by Wales. And now Josh Adams will be kicking it back downfield with the spiral kick. Has to clean this one up now. Nolalesko. It's inside of the 22. He's done well. Trapped that ball with the foot. Now, no one Wasi. Or no one Wasi, I should say. I always add the extra quit in there. Please describe the current game. South Africa currently on the halfway line. It is going to be another offload. Chiperick hanging on to this ball. Flipped by Falatau, fires it back into the half, and it looks like Gareth Thomas still out there on the field for Wales. They've decided against making a change. Jack Morgan, one more on the outside to Cuthbert, tries to break down the line. 40 metres out. That's a knock-on again from Wales, but they're going back for another advantage. In fact, no, they've said it's in touch. It will be the line out. And also we get an OPT English or England Hamish box office, says Richard. And also if there's one thing I can't work out, it's how Ireland can put 34 points on the Aussie aside, yet this Welsh can. Says Connor. I think it was just like that game between between Ireland and Australia was just a real chess match between them. And like something just, I don't know, both sides cancelled each other so well. It's like they had the same ratings if it was a rugby game, and they just kept on going back and forth, back and forth. It's quite it's a qualified medical condition at this point. Says Scrumlass there for the Leinster Shakes. Oh, right. That's going to be a yellow card against Justin Chiperick here. That's actually because he's decided to stick out the foot, an illegal foot trip. And, Okay, Alan Alatoa is just asking the question of, could it have been a penalty try? Because Pete Samu was gone. That was an interception try. They'd have to say that Josh Adams would have been able to get back and get him. But, tell you what, Chipperick, though, the illegal foot trip, pretty dirty from the captain of Wales. And also, we really love that, Katie. Very true. And also, we have got, my God, Glasgow has given away penalty after penalty. Shocking, says Richard. Yeah, Chipperick, he's still got a big smile on his face. He may not have a smile on his face, though, if Australia score 2 tries while he's off the field and make this one a lot closer. Welsh captain going to find himself in the bin till about 3 minutes left on the clock now for this game. Should I mention, ladies and gentlemen, we have got 13 minutes left of this fixture. Then we are jumping straight over to our next live stream that has taken place between South Africa and England. That's a great ball. That was too easy. Noah Kwanina-Wasi scored the try. And also Tripperick and also Aussie Rugby taking a dive. Is it the player's fault or coaching, says Nelson. Yeah, their record's not great under Dave Rennie, but then it's also that question of, is it him or is it the fact that his player pool just isn't quite what he would want it to be? This is great work, though. Noah Nitawasi goes right up the middle of the field, gets himself the try. Is Chipperick still smiling about giving away that yellow card? Because now he's given Australia a chance to get back into the contest. They're now $4.80 underdogs. And Mark's is impressing me. Yeah, he's a brilliant player for the Waratahs. Chipperick, that smile has been wiped right off his face now, as he knows that he may have made a monumental mistake. Also, the reason Wales are winning is because Australia down so many. Says Richard, yeah, they do have 19 injuries in this game, or heading into this matchup, but Wales missing a few international players as well. We do need to remember the likes of Liam Williams not there, Dan Bigger, Lewis Rees-Zammit, another player, Josh Navidi. They're missing a few of their guys that they would have loved to have in their side. Maybe not 19, still a few. He'd be tripping right now, says Cited. Sounds very hit lingo, isn't it? I say in it way too much now. I feel like it's so much easier. I don't believe it. Might we see a comeback on the cards here, says Connor. There's a chance. They were $18 underdogs. Now they're $5.70. And Derek Chisora is from Zimbabwe originally. Says, and it was John Mills there. Now many penalty ref before double yellow, says Richard there. Now McDermott goes back across. Noel Alessio looking to kick this one downfield. It's a good boot from Lena Cattell. Gets distance on it. Now, who's that? I think that's the replacement number 22 for the Welsh, who I did just see. And also we have got there, did Lewis Rees-Zammit crack his pelvis yesterday because that injury looked nasty. It looked pretty bad, didn't it? I'm not sure whether or not, is it a cracked pelvis or is it something else that's happened for him? And there, but either way, he's probably going to be out for a little bit of time, unfortunately. Pretty fair, really, on players out before this game. Says McNeil going back across. One more pass on the outside. Lena Cattell off to Pete Samu. Australia starting to find their momentum. I'm about to sneeze. Got to try not to sneeze. There we go. I've managed to catch it. Now back across. Tom Wright, if he had found that offload on the outside, could have been dangerous and fair play. Oh, sorry, I read that one, didn't I? I don't think Pivaka's gone 40 minutes of quality rugby throughout an entire autumn series. Isn't good enough with the World Cup coming. Hasn't got enough first 40 this game. Their only quality play. Although with it being so close, 280 days away, as Six Nations, I guess that's the benefit for these sides is they've still got the Six Nations. That's Wales and those European teams. So they've got a bit of time to try out a new coach, but they've got to make the decision soon or else they're going to end up regretting it, I think. If they leave it to only a little bit beforehand. Tay McDermott now, grab it in behind. Noah Nitawasi going after it. Now, he's chased down. Another knock on. And that is going to be now a scrum fab for the Australians. The pressure is well and truly on Wales. And thanks for the call, mate. Good way. Or a good one. Are you watching on Stan Sport or Sky New Zealand? I am on Sky New Zealand, so Sky Sport 2 watching it here. So there is a 30-second delay because I'm actually watching on Sky Go, which does give us just a little bit behind, but it does mean I can wear headphones listening to the game. The big shot there from Jack Morgan. He's had a brilliant game. If Wales win, he's my man of the match. If Wales lose, he's probably still right up there for man of the match, but I think they might give it to an Australia maybe. Noah Nitawasi might be the man who gets himself the man of the match performance. Or Langy Gleeson. He was very good, and he was clutching his side and couldn't walk, or couldn't even walk, so I'm assuming he really did a number on his old hip bone, says Scrumlass there. And also, it is very, very good experience for the Wallabies with all the injuries, and somehow they are somewhat competitive, says Cited. And Australia come back and win this. Pivak should resign immediately and come on Wales, says Young. And yeah, so Talakai out there on the field now, replacing Alatoa. Is Alan Wynne-Jones' arm bleeding, or is it just the red paint that he's found throughout his travels? I want to say it's red paint, or else get that man maybe a blood transfusion, because that would be a lot of blood gone. It's just paint. He's all right. Alan Wynne-Jones, even if it was blood, he'd just get another capsule in him and he'd be fine to continue for another 7 years of rugby. He's going to be there at 2027's World Cup if he can have anything to say about it. He's just going to keep on going. British and Irish tour next time. He's going to hope to be there probably. Now McDermott going off to the short side. Tries to pierce through. Good tackle made on him. They had to make sure they made it early. Now back across. Going to be another run. Nick Frost, 10 metres out from the line. I couldn't speak there. I got excited. It's another advantage for the Australians. Now Noel Alessio goes across. Ikatel sells the dummy. Finds the offload to Jock Campbell, the Reds flying winger, trying to make his way through. Now I'll go back to Chiperick. He was laughing when he went off the field. He went, yay, it's very fun that I got a yellow card. His team are now struggling because he's not out there on the park making it 15 on 15. And they've got a great opportunity here, Australia. They're going to go with the scrum here. 5 metres out. And yes, they have to make it soon, I agree, because there's Six Nations there. Are some quality players like Zaman and Morgan to work with for a new coach. And they'll have time to build up, says Stuart Lee. Morning, Hamish, and fellow athletes, says Joshua. They're welcome in, mate. Hope you are excited for the game taking place in only 15 minutes' time. And hope you're enjoying this one. At the end of the day, 8 minutes to determine probably Pivak's coaching career. To be honest, he's nervous at the moment, as he should be, because a monumental disciplinary error may cost Wales the game here. Now charging. Once again, going forward now. Talakai attacking well. Noakunita Wasi thought about going for it over the line, the Wallabies. They think they've scored it. The referee's not sure. They're going to go upstairs and pack your bags, Wallabies, says Nate. And also Leinster 33-5. And also Super Grams, Alan Wynne-Jones. I will still be playing in 2027 with his running game. Says cited in ARDA, brother. Says Scrumlass, right. Matthew Carley's going to have to go upstairs here. Dave Rennie doesn't look happy. I feel like it's the case of which coach looks less happy about their performances. And Wigglesworth, the oldest player at the moment. Who's the oldest? Says Scrumlass. Oh, it's a good question. I know that also Youngs for England would be up there. He's had a lot of... Well, actually, it might just be the fact that he's had so many caps more than anything. Right, they want to have a look at potential collapsing in the future after checking the grounding. Right. Oh, no, the arse is out for one of the players. It's gone down hard. They haven't got an angle of the shot, unfortunately. Wales says Mick, and also Wales have played very well each game for a few minutes. And then they just undo. Today has been the longest they kept it going, but falling back to old ways, says Mr. Fantastic AJ. And also we have got there, who's the youngest guy? Pepper, says Scrumless. There's a couple of real young players around at the moment. Because I guess it depends on whether you're talking international rugby or whether you're talking just rugby in general. Because there was a very young Georgian player, wasn't there? But I don't think he's the youngest now. A young Italian fullback as well, Capuzio. Although he might not be that young. He might actually be about 25. Well, he's coming back, says Nate. And also, don't think it's a try, can't see a thing. Besides a slight crack, he's cited. And yeah, I mean, internationally. Oh, okay. Luke Pearce on the touchline, starting to give a little bit of his opinion on the matter. He said that he thinks it's going to be intentionally collapsed by Wales. This could be a penalty try and another yellow card here. Lachlan Lonergan went round the side. He's at the back of the maul there. He's in the field of play. A well-constructed maul. Whoa. It's a penalty try for Australia. A yellow card against Ryan Elias. And Wales might be choking away a last game of the November International. A penalty, Mr. Ref, come on, says Dylan Dames there. That's huge. 7 points on the board. Australia within 3. And they are going to be playing up against a 13-man Welsh side. I want to see what that does to the odds now. I feel like Wales have to be like $5 underdogs now, even though they're leading at this point in the match. But this is absolutely huge for Australia. Not so much for Wales, because they had a 16-point lead. Okay, the odds are actually relatively even. $1.95 to $1.80 at the moment. Wales still in the lead for the betting odds. Note now they go down to $2.10. They were $18 underdogs for the Australians. Little too late, says Dylan Dames. Still time on the clock. 6 minutes. Oh, that's a big knock on, though, from Tom Wright. Last thing that he wanted there. Come on, Wallabies in the drought, says DJ, and they lose in the contact battle. That's why they lost heavily to the ABs. First half this game, they weren't. They are not. But now are and giving away stupid penalties. All that good work. First half undone, says Stuart Lee. Yeah, you look at some of those guys in the first half. Jack Morgan, tremendous. Talupe Falatau, Dan Hawken, all those guys putting in absolutely massive shifts. We get to the second half, and everyone's gone to sleep, unfortunately, and it's really costing them. Second half possession, the last 10 minutes possession, 74% for Australia. Halftime score, I believe, was 20 points to 13 in favour of Wales. So, yep, they did actually just say that. 20 points to 13 at halftime. Australia were down by 16. Wales, you can't let that one go, says Young there. I like watching Dave Rennie. Chiefs versus Wayne Pavak's Blues. And stay with it, Wales, says Mick, and 2 players down. It's going to be a long 6 minutes, decided. It certainly is. We will be covering last 6 on the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I just realized we actually only have 9 minutes till our next live stream starts. So hopefully the second half, last 6 minutes, does fly by. Don't think we're going to get a snack in between live streams, though. We're going to be straight into that next match. I know my prediction might actually be right. Might have spoken too soon, says Brian. And also better than the Ireland game, though. More flair from the Wallabies, says Dylan Dames. Exactly right. We're seeing some pretty good play from both of these sides. At times, we're also seeing some pretty poor play from both of the teams at the same time. And this is Bristol Bears behaviour, Wales, says Scrum Lesson. This is a Harlequins-esque kind of comeback from the Wallabies at the moment. Leaving up to the last minute, then deciding they want to try and win the game. It's a big push from the Wallabies. They get the penalty. Tom Robinson is fired up at the moment for the Wallabies side. And true, Dylan, but it's against Wales. Says Brian there. And also we've got their big oof Warriors, says Scrumless there. And also 40-5 in favour of the Leinster men. So they are doing very nicely in their game. At the moment, it's going to be kicked downfield from Australia. Gets them to about 40 metres out from their line. There are a lot of nervous faces in the coaching box for Wales, for the coaching box of Australia, and everyone at Principality Stadium, all watching on with intrigue. And also, young squad is doing good, mate, says Dylan Dames. And there as well. But Tom Robinson, he's been penalised quite a few times throughout the scrums. This time he got one back. And these minutes are like never ending, says Young. And they've actually had another time stoppage here. I thought that man had a block of Whittaker's chocolate, but it's a notebook. I don't think they have Whittaker's chocolate in Wales that I know of. Now Lachlan Lonergan hanging on to this ball at the back of the rolling maul now. Australia, like they've said, they're taking their time. If they can get themselves a penalty now, they might be able to try and nail a long one with Research. It's just a little bit too far out there, I would think, for his first attempt. They need a few more metres. Now Hodge. Noah Alessio goes wide. Noani Tawasi. Ball on the inside to Jock Campbell. Just keeps himself in the field of play as well. McDermott goes across to Robertson. Now once again, McDermott goes off to the right. Noah Alessio goes it to Lena Katau, who kicks it away. Now that's a question mark for me, because I guess you're playing the territory game, but it gives Wales an opportunity to kick it way back downfield. You're playing against a 13-man side as well. You've got to make the most of it. At Australia, they return the kick. And also, they were so sad to see Australia Rugby going this way. What a poor tour. And damn, did not see the score. Says Kawasi there, and the Aussies can still win the game. They certainly can, coming from $18 underdogs to maybe getting themselves the victory. Jock Campbell kicks it downfield, nicely taken at the back by Kieran Hardy. Another big boot from the Welsh replacement halfback. And why the kick, says Dylan Dames. Yeah, I would have thought while still having the two-man advantage, you'd absolutely attack Australia. They seem more intent on going for the kicks just for now, but they're 40 metres out from their own line now, and it looks like now will be the opportunity to go for the run. McDermott goes short side, trying to snipe his way through. Good tackle made on him by Adam Beard. This is almost within Reece Hodges' range now for where they are on the field if they do manage to get themselves a penalty. But now it's Tawasi. Now with a great run forward for the Australians. Looks for the cutout pass. Was it forward to Dave McDermott? It might have been the offload up to Fraser McWright. 10 metres out from the line now. Wales trying to get that lethal turnover, but they weren't able to. And now Australia still on attack off to the right-hand side. They have numbers. It's slapped down. That's going to be off to Lachlan Lonergan, though. And he's going to go in. Score the try there, Lachlan Lonergan, for the Australians. And they may have just won this game. Nail biter says McBrown and Leinster game over 40-5. Oh, the ball crocs is Nate. It's a try. Australia come back. And now with 2 minutes left on the clock, is Chipperick still smiling? Because he's going to make his way back out onto the field now, the Welsh skipper, and try and tell his team, sorry about that one, boys. We've conceded 3 tries while I went off the field. And it's massive. Hold the phone. And Dave Rennie-Keese's job will pivot, though. That is the bigger question. And Wallabies fire, says Dylan Dames there. What a comeback this is. Ball doesn't ricochet off an Australian. They just want to check something with Pete Samu. But that, I believe, is going to be the try here. Yep, Pete Samu does not touch that ball. And Lachlan Lonergan, now with 1:30 left on the clock, might have just scored the winning try of the match for the Aussies. This is one of those times that I wish my TAB account had more than 10 cents in it. But it's only got 10 cents in it so that I can watch the cricket for free on it as well. Fun fact, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in New Zealand and didn't expect to come back like this, and that's rugby, Aussie, and 4 pass by Miles, says Nate there. Yeah, Australia, they left it late, to say the least. And also, I wasn't dreaming to see you in a bit, says Birdie V, although we've still got another 1:30 left. So pretty much what will happen from this live stream, ladies and gentlemen, we are transferring straight over to our next one, which is South Africa taking on the English. And Aussie, Wallabies just played for Dave Rennie, says Dylan Dames. And yeah, they've kept his job, is the best way of describing it. And also Aussies for the win, says DJ wins. Wayne Pivak, he'll be furious. They had this game. They had a brilliant first half. All they needed to do was close it out. And his side have well and truly let him down. And Aussie, easy. I wouldn't call it easy. It was anything but easy for the Wallabies to get into this game. But it's a high-scoring one. It's exactly what everyone wanted to see for the game taking place before England versus South Africa. One to well and truly get everyone fired up. And also Wales, as humans, should hang their heads. And Australia, Will Wales will drop to 12 in the world. And I got it right, just fair play, Oz. A happier flight home. Then they'll be whinging or whining in the valleys, whinging on the hills. Says Tim Rogers, and great comeback, says Dylan. And also someone should make sure Wayne Pivak is okay, says Scrum. He'll be disappointed. Now 10 seconds left. Australia just a couple more phases, and they win this game. From being 16 points to penalty to Wales. Okay, there's still time on the clock. Oh, we're going to have to delay our next live stream, aren't we? In from the side and off feet. Wales now have a chance to kick for the corner to take this one back from the jaws of defeat. If they kick this into the corner, Wales don't cry. They might not have to. They might win this game if they can get this line out right. They got 15 metres out from the line. One last chance for the Welsh to be able to go on and win this game. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be going straight over to that next live stream, England versus South Africa, as soon as we physically can. But for now, we've still got one more chance in this game. I'm very excited to see how this goes. Come on, boyos. There's Robert there. Now Dylan Lewis about to throw this ball in. I wouldn't equate the Ireland game with this one, says Brian. And this is crazy. One last push. Here we go. It's thrown in. Taken by Wales. Kieran Hardy. Across now. Short pop pass up. Australia looking to get themselves that turnover penalty. Now Hardy goes back again. They're straight out in front of the post. If Wales score now, they win this contest, and they win it if they convert. And Wales snatch victory or defeat from the jaws of victory, says Young. And Michael has just said, F this. He is no longer happy with the Aussie, easy. Instead, it's going to be Aussie, defend. Kieran Hardy passes back across, 10 metres out from the line. Kieran Hardy, one more, gives it off to George North. 3 Australians consider going into the breakdown. They decide against it. Tuparik now, the man looking for redemption after costing his side 3 tries with his yellow card. Back across again. Lachlan Lonergan, locked in, over the ball, gets the turnover, kicks it into touch, and that will be the end of the game. The Wallabies win it 39 points to 34. It was a little bit of a slightly rougher finish to the game, you'd have to say. They almost came back. But nonetheless, we are transferring straight over to our next live stream, ladies and gentlemen. South Africa versus the English. Thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you all for the next one.